All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sunday morning, March 6th, 2022, and last night, the final of a six-game day in the NBA, a day that started off with the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, first game of the day, the last game of the day, the Lakers beating the Warriors. Just again, we're going to talk about how scripted the NBA is, how LeBron's 56-point game is synced up with not only Super Bowl 56, but of course, the man who he's nicknamed after, King James, as in the man who has the Bible named after him. And don't forget, King James had a son, King Charles. Soon there will be a King Charles in the world when Queen Elizabeth kicks the bucket. Remember, her father died at age 56. But when she kicks the bucket, her son will be King Charles. And in light of LeBron's history with Curry, remember the Warriors, who Curry plays for, they're originally from Pennsylvania. They used to be the Philadelphia Warriors. The day in history, March 4th, that Pennsylvania became Pennsylvania was... I forget the exact year right now. It's slipping my mind, but it was March 4th in history that King Charles, the original King Charles, gave the land to William Penn that became Pennsylvania. So there's a big historical thing going on right here, and we've been talking about this. We knew the Super Bowl was going to be all about the royal family, and it was. Again, royal family in Gematria equals 56. Just like King James Bible equals 56. Again, King James' son, King Charles, gave the land for Pennsylvania. The people who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War were called Cavaliers. That's why King James LeBron played for the Cavaliers. Again, all of this stuff pays tribute to history, and most sports fans don't have a clue because they don't know a thing about history. In fact, they don't know a thing about anything besides what they see in the sports world and on the news, which isn't anything. But when you do know history and you know the knowledge of Gematria, which comes from Kabbalah, because the Kabbalah's who's behind all this, you see how perfectly scripted all these rituals are. And this ties in with the war that's going on right now. Again, King James, King Charles, English Civil War right now, war breaking out in Ukraine. Got those gold and blue colors, just like the Rams, just like the Warriors. Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, his girlfriend's from Ukraine, go figure. But here, we're going to bring all this together. We're going to bring all this together. And by the way, before I even get into it, my channel that I post at until it gets deleted and I have to start GematriaEffectNews 25. Again, the channel's not called GematriaEffectNews 24. It's called 24 because the channel's been deleted that many times. And that's why I split up the sports and news channel in 2018 because I was tired of getting all the work deleted at once. But if you go to this channel and just click on one of the videos and go down to the description, you can download my ebooks for free. And the first book, Letters and Numbers, there's a chapter on LeBron James and Number of the Beast and why they do these Number of the Beast rituals with him. Again, yesterday was just the latest ritual. And for all the people who come here and say it's all hindsight, well, again, you're not on Patreon. On Patreon, I talked about why the Lakers had a good chance to win yesterday and how there was another Number of the Beast ritual right on the board and how it was going to be possibly King James Day. Well, it couldn't have been any more King James Day. That's exactly what it was. But here we go. I also learned something new in this decode that really brings it together. So LeBron yesterday. All right, here's the three numbers that we're going to start with. 19, 35, 56. And all of these numbers correspond with King James and the King James Bible and what happened in yesterday's game. Yesterday, the Lakers got their 19th home win. Remember, this is LeBron's 19th season. This season began early on October 19th. The real King James's birthday is June 19th. LeBron in yesterday's game ended up making 19 shots for 56 points. But here's where it all comes together. The three numbers. The Lakers stayed on 35 losses on 3-5, and LeBron scores 56. Right after the Rams win Super Bowl 56 in a clear King ritual, as we'll touch more on. But the 19, the word Jesus equals 19. That's the name for Jesus at the time of the King James Bible being published in 1611. And the reason his name was Jesus then is because J hadn't even been invented yet. So Jesus, 19. King James, 35. King James Bible, 56. And again, if you're new here, the most pure cipher, The alphabetic order with the rules numerology, the same way we've taught it the whole time. Isus 19, King James 35, King James Bible 56, right? So all of these numbers clearly encoded in the game. 56 points scored, stay on 35 losses on 3-5. All the 19s we just talked about. And remember, we've been documenting all the 19 stuff they've been doing all season. The Lakers versus Cavs game at the beginning of the year was 19 weeks from the real King James's birthday. Big 19 ritual then. You know, somebody got sick with COVID-19, one of his teammates, like 19 days from their birthday. There's been so many stories like this year that we've documented. But here's one of the things that jumped out to us yesterday. The Lakers could pick up their 258th win yesterday, which they did versus the Warriors in the regular season. And yesterday was Frank Vogel's 258th day of his age. And it was also LeBron's 66th day of his age. And again, if you're new here, Gematria is very simple. It's the alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with the rules of numerology. So when you write out number of the beast, it's 66 in the most pure. It was LeBron's 66th day of his age. It's 258 in reverse. It's also 87, like the name James is 87. And it's also 174. LeBron stuck on the 174 playoff wins right now. You might recall when he got that 174th playoff win over the Suns, the Lakers became 25-8 at home versus the Suns in the playoffs all time. But anyhow, with regards to the 66s, let's not forget that King James was born in 1566. The 66th book of the King James Bible is where you learn about the number of the beast. And again, they've been doing number of the beast rituals with LeBron for his whole career. This is, I don't know. I don't even know what count number it is. They've done a lot of them. And the Lakers did score 62 points in the first half yesterday and 62 points in the second half. That's interesting because we're about to have King Charles, who's the son of King James, and the word queen equals 62. And don't forget that Queen Elizabeth became the queen on February 6th. A date that can be written 2-6 or 6-2, which is fine either way because Queen is 26 and 62. I think LeBron scored 26 in the first half yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But the Queen's coronation is also June 2nd, and the finals start this year on June 2nd. So the Queen became the Queen February 6th, 52. Her coronation was saved for June 2nd, both dates that can be written 2-6, 6-2. Again, this year's finals begin on June 2nd, and this year's finals end on June 19th, which is the real King James's birthday. And remember when LeBron beat Curry in the finals, coming back from down 3-1, he did it on the real King James's birthday, June 19th. And you might recall, the Warriors lost with 89 points that day. King James, 89 with the most simple cipher, 35 with the rules of numerology. You might recall when LeBron went to the Lakers from the Cavs, at first they reported it was a $153 million deal, which was symbolic, 17th triangular number, coming over on 1-7 from the 17th state, Ohio, when NBA's 17. And we said LeBron will win the Lakers their 17th championship in his 17th season, which he did. But then later they fudged the headline and they changed it to a $154 million contract. That was like 3 days later. And then King James 154. And with regards to the 55, Los Angeles Lakers equals 257, the 55th prime. So, anyhow, Lakers stay on 35 losses, get the 19th home win. And again, it's Steph Curry versus LeBron again in this ritual. Stephen means crown. The king wears the crown. Here's LeBron's box score, 19 for 31 from the field. He took 13 free throws. This was his 13th 50-plus point game in his career. Of course, we know LA's 13. 10 rebounds, 3 assists, so 13 there again in the rebound assist category. And the plus-minus for him was plus 13 while he was on the court. And again, LA 13, King 41, the 13th prime. Remember what they just did with Matt Stafford winning the Super Bowl for the Rams. It was his 13th season. In the opening round of the playoffs, he got his first win, became 1-3 in the playoffs. In the next game, he beat Brady on the road, became 1-3 on the road in the playoffs. Then 13 unanswered points against the 49ers to come back and win the game. And then he became 1-3 versus the Bengals all time. And it was all synced up with the Kurt Warner movie, where Kurt Warner wore number 13. But here it is. From Vogel's birthday to yesterday's game, his 258th day of his age. And again, a lot of people in this community, yesterday when people were calling the Patreon, they were saying, well, the Lakers are on 257 wins and it's 257 days after Vogel's birthday, so maybe they stay there. I said, that's possible, but you have to remember it's his 258th day of his age. That's the number of the beast, and that's the number they like to do a lot with LeBron with. Plus, it's LeBron's 66th day of his age, which is the biggest number of the beast number there is, and one that connects with LeBron in a big way. Again, number of the beast is 66 in the most pure. Lakers and LeBron are 66 in the most simple. LeBron James 66 when you run the alphabetic order and reverse the rules of numerology. And remember, 666 has a square root of 25.8. So that's where the number of the beast 258 thing fits in. And they do a lot of stuff with all of these numbers and number of the beast rituals, including with the old vaccine approvals as we've been documenting all year. Remember, vaccination is 666 in Sumerian Gematria, which we'll talk more about in a moment, because so is Frank Vogel. But James also has that 87 connection, like number of the beast. So LeBron's super connected to this number. That's why they do so many rituals. LeBron's current record in the playoffs, 174 and 92. He's got 174 wins in 266 playoff games. And remember, Isus Hominum Salvator is 266, the Jesuit motto. That's who's behind all this. So in Sumerian Gematria, which is just where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, Frank Vogel is 666. That just means A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24. You know how Jay-Z has the 444 album? The word rapper is 444 in Sumerian Gematria. But anyway, Frank Vogel, 666 in Sumerian, like basketball game, like the NBA Finals. And we've been pointing this stuff out for, 7, 8 years now? When we learned Sumerian Gematria, we said, then no wonder they do all this stuff with LeBron. Like this right here. Look at this game. Cavaliers, 113, that infamous NBA number. Raptors, 87. They lose by 26, going down with 87 to James. Cavaliers win series 4-2. The Beast rules for 42 months in Revelation. And then below it says first player since 66 to reach 6 straight NBA Finals. I mean, how many ways did they code number of the Beast there? You know what I mean? They got the 66, they got the 87, and then they got the 42, and the Beast rules for 42 months. And if you want to get cute, we know the National Basketball Association's 113, where it would fit in with Revelation, where you learn about the Beast. Revelation translates to Apocalypse, and Apocalypse has that Gematria 113. Remember what day they declared the coronavirus pandemic on March 11th, 113, doing all these Revelation 666 tributes? Bill Gates getting the vaccination on his 87th day of his age. He's the face of it. Bill Gates equals 87. He operates in the 42nd state, Washington. They approved the vaccine on the first vaccines that happen in the world for COVID are on his 42nd day of his age. Again, all this stuff goes beyond just what they do with LeBron. They use these numbers in their rituals again and again, which are all biblical. Again, I don't know why so many people struggle with this. It's the Jesuits, who are the Society of Jesus, who own this world, truly. You're speaking their language. There'd be no English language as we know it without the Jesuits. They standardized it in the 16th century, the same time they put out the Gregorian calendar, which is named after the Pope. And again, you look through history, it's their numbers all over the history books. Why do you think there's 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence? Again, we never got independent from anything. It's all false history. It's a giant slave state. You're not free. You're pacified. You're entertained. You're stupefied. And you're used like cattle. Before you were used as tax cattle, these days you're getting used as medical guinea pigs. And, you're going along with it because you got things that make you happy enough. A bag of Cheetos, a LeBron James slam dunk. For a lot of you, that's enough. You feel like you're living. You're not. You're a slave. You're a toy for the cabal. And, again, you guys better wake up to that. And if you can't accept it, it means you're a good, useful idiot who likes being treated like a slave and a toy by the cabal. And that's who a lot of you are. And you guys don't want to face that. You're happy being a toy. You're happy being a pawn. You're happy rejecting knowledge. You're happy pouring your money into these evil sports leagues that ritually sacrifice people month after month, year after year. That's who you are, And for all of you guys who say, why do you keep speaking to these people? Because that's who the masses are, you guys. I do these videos for the masses. I do appreciate those of you guys who get it and continue to follow and learn more and spread the work. I appreciate you. I'm not talking to you, though, the majority of the time, because I'm talking to the masses who are dragging us all to hell, which is over 90% of humanity. But anyway, the same shit over and over. And, We'll talk about how the Kings picked up their 42nd loss to start the day. But here's the list of LeBron's 50-point games. Shout out to 208 Productions because he noticed that it was 16 years and 11 months since the last time LeBron scored 56. And if you look at his career, he's never scored 56 besides March 20th, 2005 and yesterday. So these are the only 2 times he's ever scored 56. These are all of his 50-point games for his career. You count it up. Yesterday was the 13th 50-plus point game. And again, look at it. 16 years, 11 months. The King James Bible came out in 1611. Back then, the word was Jesus, not Jesus, which is 19. This happens in his 19th season, getting the 19th home win. And remember, the Catholic Church is behind all of this. The Catholic Church is a sun cult. Tarot cards, the English language, the calendar, all of this stuff goes back to the 16th century. The 19th card on the tarot is the sun card. Again, Jesus is clearly the sun. There's a million different ways to look at it, especially since Christians celebrate his birthday on the pagan sun birthday, the birthday of the solar man, or on ancient Rome's birthday of Mithra, or on even more ancient Rome's birthday of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. All of those birthdays are December 25th. 1225 has a square root of 35. Christmas Day is 1225. The square root of 1225 is 35. The word eye equals 35. To the occult, the sun is the eye of God, because when it's not out, it's dark. Like when you close your eyes, it's darkness. When you open your eyes, it's light. So easy concept to understand. I equals 35. Genesis 3:5 is about having eyes like God. Genesis 3:5. You have 3 eyes, 2 on your face, 1 in your mind. E-Y-E. E's the 5th letter, Y's the 25th, E's the 5th. Why does that matter? 5 is the 3rd prime. 25 has a square root of 5. All the numbers in I come back to 3, like there's 3 letters in it, like you have 3 eyes. 2 on your face, 1 in your mind. And the one they care about is the one in your mind. Because it doesn't matter about your eyes on your face, what you see. You won't see what you're supposed to see if your mind's eye is polluted, if your mind's eye is programmed, if your mind's eye has been trained to see things the wrong way, as almost everybody in humanity has been because of what's been done to us. 13 years of slave school, pledging to 13 stripes, thinking we have some nation. All these nations are false. This is the new world order. It's an old world order. It's the Catholic Church. Out for your mind. That's why they indoctrinate you as a young child with all the fear programming through the Bible, through the school, through the television. Anyway, self-explanatory. But again, King James Bible 56 and 35. Lakers stay on 35 losses on 3-5 on King James Day. And in that same cipher, Raptors is 35. That's the last team that LeBron scored 56 against. And I used to always be educating about how LeBron would have the biggest King James rituals against the Raptors. Of course, Kobe Bryant had his big 666 ritual versus the Raptors. And again, you guys, I mean, that's why you got to know the ciphers. Kobe Bryant in the most pure, 41, right? Kobe Bean Bryant, his full name, 54 and 81. If you haven't read, again, you guys can go to GematriaEffectNews 24, click on one of these videos, download the ebooks. My latest book, Number Games, has a huge chapter on Kobe Bryant's death. But remember, he died the weekend before Super Bowl 54. He died, well, when he scored his career high at 81 points, it was in his 666th game. He did it against the Toronto Raptors on January 22nd. But notice the phrase Mark of the Beast, which is 666, is 54 and 81. And, you know, doing it against the Raptors on January 22nd, there were 122 points scored in that game. He scored 81. The rest of his team scored 41. And again, this stuff is satanic ritual. Satanic 122. The Church of Satan, established on the 122nd Meridian West in San Francisco. San Francisco's 122 and 50, just like satanic, you see. Anyway, and for people who don't get it, you know, idolizing somebody is technically satanic in the biblical teaching. You're not supposed to idolize people. You know, you're supposed to go out and be your best person, live a life of service, be about truth, justice. How many people have these qualities in our society? Almost no one. Almost everyone's all about themselves. Almost everyone's idolizing celebrities. So this is all truly a satanic lifestyle. I'm not going to get on here and I'm not a religious person. I'm not going to get on here and get preachy. Again, Overwhelmingly, I think the Bible does more harm than good, but it doesn't mean all the book's bad. And I think teachings like that are right. You shouldn't be idolizing people. You should be living a life of truth and justice and fighting tyranny and evil. How many people are doing these things? Almost none. How many people are sitting back, munching on chips and watching sports games and then going into their slave job and thinking that that's their primary responsibility and don't give a shit about anything else in the world besides their own family, if they even care about their own family? You know what I mean? Again, you guys, they've created an evil, satanic world full of people with poor values, poor intellect, poor everything, you know? You got people worshiping LeBron James, a guy whose entire career is scripted, a guy who was born and bred to be, probably born in a lab. Again, I'm pretty sure his father was not LeBron James, but Nate Thurmond, who again, another biblical riddle. LeBron scores 27 in the real King James's birthday. There's 27 books in the New Testament. Nate Thurmond dies 27 days later at age 74. Jesus, cross, Messiah, killing, gospel, parables, they're all 74. Same old parables. Nate Thurmond had his 42, retired with the Warriors and Cavs. That's how we called it. The first match between the Warriors and Cavs would happen. We understood the number 42, Nate Thurmond, where it fit in with LeBron, Curry. You know, that ended up being the finals. The next year we said it's going to be the same thing. Now LeBron will win it back over the Warriors. It's all about Nate Thurmond. The next thing you know, Nate Thurmond's dead in a perfect ritual. But anyway, all these 19s in the KJV 1611 Bible, Jesus is the name, 19. All these 19s, all these 35s, all these 56s, perfect fit. Now, from Super Bowl 56 to this game was a span of 21 days later. The Super Bowl was February 13th, 213 in the LA 213 area code. That's why the Rams played that Monday Night Football game over the Cardinals on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Again, all about the King stuff. Whoops. I meant to write Monday Night Football. But this is all about the King. Monday Night Football, 213 in the most simple cipher. The Rams beat the Cardinals on Martin Luther King Jr. Day on that Monday night game. Remember, they beat the Cardinals, the last state to recognize Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Arizona. And Monday Night Football does have that 87 in it, like James as well. You guys might remember when we covered it at the time, LeBron's 213th career playoff game was played on June 1st, the 213th day of the year. And before that game, the day leaving 213 days left in the year. But LeBron's 213th playoff game was played on that day. And notice when you write out the NBA Finals, it's got the 213 in it. And this is back when LeBron was on the Cavs against the Warriors. But the news story that broke that day before the game was played was that somebody spray painted the N-word on LeBron James's house in the LA area code. LeBron's LA home got the N-word spray painted on it. And it's like, come on, man. In the 213 area code right before his 213th game on this day when we know about NBA Finals. And then you might recall Derek Fisher, like right after that, supposedly, who used to be on the Lakers, supposedly was involved in an accident and a DUI. But what I was pointing out is in Jewish Gematria, the word racism is 213. And if I remember right, I think DUI is as well. Yeah, DUI also is. And again, just more black shaming. Here's Derek Fisher driving around drunk right after this. But all of this stuff, in hindsight, was also predictive programming that LeBron would end up in LA on the Lakers. Because that's how they do it. They drop these clues, these rituals. And I mean, you think about it. LeBron's been kind of like the civil rights leader, like the modern-day Muhammad Ali, right? With the Trayvon Martin and the hoodie thing and just all the other recent stuff that's happened. And all of these things have been staged rituals encoded with the same numbers to divide the people, right? All of this stuff in the news is all fake. It's all contrived. Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, all of it. It's all contrived bullshit meant to divide people, meant to clog up their mind's eye. And it's not to say there's not racism in the world, but they're just trying to instigate it and make it worse than it is. Anyway, this game came a span of 21 days from Super Bowl 56. It was February 13th, so 15 days to the end of the month. 5 more days to this game, but if you count the span, so that's 20 days later, but if you count February 13th through March 5th, that's a total of 21 days, because it's 20 days later or a span of 21 days. So, again, this is a King James Bible ritual. Bible is 21. And we were talking about this last week with what they did in college basketball, with the top 6 seeds losing on a Saturday named after Saturn, which is also 21. But Bible's 21, Kings 23. Remember, the Rams got to 2 and 3 in Super Bowls, beating the Bengals in their 23rd game. In the Royal Family Bowl, Royal Family 56, it was originally scheduled for... The Super Bowl before they added on an extra game this year was originally scheduled for February 6th. That's the day in history that the King of England died at age 56 and Queen Elizabeth became the Queen. And that happened in 52. Super Bowl 56 was the 52nd of the modern era. And, you know, Eric Weddle, who the Rams brought back, you see how his name forwards and backwards is 52 and 56? They brought back this older veteran of the team for the Super Bowl 56, 52nd of the modern era. All part of the ritual. That's why they bring back Eric Weddle. You know, this is how these people operate. Everything's a number ritual. And with regards to the 21 yesterday, the Warriors picked up their 21st loss of the season as well, right? The Warriors have the same colors as the Rams. Again, Sean McVay's girlfriend's from Ukraine. Talk more about that in a minute. But yeah, you guys don't understand how deep and messed up this stuff is. Right now with the whole Ukraine thing, they're talking about how nuclear war could get set off. So where does Cooper Kupp, the MVP of the Rams game, fit in? You know, we're going to come back to this. If you think that's stupid, I'm going to show you exactly where it fits in a minute. It's undeniable what they've done. And, but here, we'll come back to the Cooper Kupp thing. But again, from the Super Bowl, this slide was supposed to be up one higher. From the Super Bowl to March 5th, a span of 21 days. The last time LeBron scored 56, to go back up to that list, it was March 20th. March 20th. And that's the 79th day of the year. Again, Society of Jesus, the Jesuits are behind this. 56 forwards, 79 in reverse. LeBron Raymond James, his full name's 79, has his first 56-point game on the 79th day of the year. It's just like Anthony Fauci equals 56, a Jesuit. The pandemic's declared on his 79th day of being 79 years old. These numbers come together a lot in their rituals. And the day that he had that first 56-point game, it was a date with 48 numerology. James is 48. Forwards. In reverse, it's 87. And keep in mind, he used to play in Cleveland, right? Cleveland is also 48. And something we talked about in the stream yesterday before any of the games were played was the significance of there being 6 games on a Saturday, 6 in Saturn, Saturn 21, Lakers 21, Lakers with a chance to upset the Warriors as a 6-point underdog. And the fact that the Kings came into yesterday's game 9 and 23 away, that stood out to me right away because we talked a lot about LeBron James in 9-23, the year of the Philadelphia train wreck, right before the movie Trainwreck came out starring LeBron, his first movie. We knew in Jewish Gematria LeBron James was 923. And I knew there was something big with this number at the time because the Pope was coming to speak. Again, the first Jesuit Pope, he was coming to speak in D.C. on September 23rd. Did I put the screenshot in here, the Philadelphia train wreck? I got to go back. I should go back. We should go back and look at how that train wreck was synced up with the Pope's visit, too. Remember, Pope is 56. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. The 266th Pope. Right now, LeBron has 266 playoff games under his belt. He's 4-6 in the finals. We said LeBron would become 4-6 in the finals when he did because it was a setup for how Joe Biden would become the 46th president. Anyway, which he did in an election 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. But 9 and 23 away, big LeBron James number. Notice they were on 41 losses before the game. King 41, LA 41, Dallas 41, playing Dallas. And again, what are the odds that on this day of this massive ritual, again, here, let's just look at the games yesterday in the NBA. You know, let's go back to yesterday. There were just 6 games, which is the 21st. 21's the 6th triangular number. But look at what the score ends up being, you know. The Mavericks end up winning with 114. We call that the LeBron James number, right? The Mavericks beat the Kings in the first game of the day, And then the last game of the day is the Lakers over the Warriors in a big LeBron James ritual. One of the best games of his career, you know? And we were just saying it just looks like a day that's a setup for LeBron, you know what I mean? And the same numbers that we've talked about all these years. That's why I don't understand the people who think all this stuff's a coincidence. You can't keep talking about the same stuff. LeBron's first career game against the Kings. And God, I almost forget. I want to say LeBron played 35 minutes in that first game of his career. I wonder if we can look that up. LeBron James, hold on. First career game in NBA. Let's see if that website should work. October 29th, 2003. He was 18. Oh, yeah, I remember Mike Bibby back in the day. Peja Stojakovic, Vlade Divac, he played 42 minutes. Okay, he played 42, and LeBron's 42. So that was his first career game. And the thing that amazed me about LeBron when he came in the league, I knew the NBA was a joke even when LeBron came in the league. I didn't realize, though, they had technology to ensure outcomes. And the one thing that I was impressed with LeBron, I was like, man, he's really fixed his shot. I mean, it still doesn't look that pretty, but God, he can actually make a shot now. They used to show us high school games. He couldn't shoot for shit. I mean, he was an athletic phenom, but no shot at all. Just dominating people with his athleticism and his size, but he couldn't make a shot. But then he came in the NBA. He was draining shots from deep almost right away. I was like, wow. I didn't realize the whole technology thing back then, but now it's all easily understood. Anyway, 9:23, Philadelphia Trainwreck at 9:23, right before his movie comes out, Trainwreck. All the stuff we've been talking about, right before the Pope comes to visit on 9:23. You know. But yeah, the Kings picked up their 42nd loss yesterday. So in LeBron's first career game, I got to add that in there. He played 42 minutes, not 35. I knew it was one of those numbers relevant to him. 42 minutes, 42nd loss. I mean, and again, this is on a Saturday. Saturn's also got the 42 connection. Saturn, the keeper of time. But with regards to the Mavericks, beating them with 114 and the Kings going down with 113. I mean, just same old numbers in the NBA. We've talked about so many times. The real King James' birthday is June 19th, like 619, which is the 114th prime number. And that Trainwreck movie came out on July 17th, 17/7. I think I meant to stick a screenshot in here of the actual date of the Trainwreck. We'll go back and look at it. But notice, the Jesuit order is 177 forwards, 201 in reverse. Recall in 2020, they knighted Captain Tom in the UK. He's a celebrity over there. He's known for the Burma campaign, which equals 56. But they knighted Captain Tom on 17/7, and then 201 days later, he died from coronavirus. And that was 56 days after the first people in the world got vaccinated in the UK. William Shakespeare, who said all the world's a stage, and Maggie Keenan. And again, coronavirus 56. Just like the Event 201 simulation for coronavirus put on by the Jesuits, the first case of COVID in the world after that was a span of 56 days later. But with regards to the 84, remember the 1984 NBA Finals ended June 12th, and from that day to LeBron's birthday in 84, December 30th, was 201 days later. 201-84. This past year, Colin Powell died at age 84 from coronavirus on the anniversary of Event 201. You see? And again, LeBron last night, he stayed on 201 regular season losses in his massive King James ritual. Remember, the Holy Bible equals 201. King James Bible 56. The way all these numbers come together over and over. And Frank Vogel last night, his coach, he stayed on 84 losses with the Lakers in the regular season. Got his 122nd win. Jesus Hominum Salvator 122. Pope Francis 122. He also stayed on 102 total losses with the Lakers, which matters because the Rams just won. It's 102 if you count the postseason losses. Or no. Hold on. I'm off on that one. He's actually on 93. He's on 93 because I was looking at the wrong column. He's got 18 wins in the postseason and 9 losses. So he's on 93 total losses with the Lakers. Got his 140th win. Where the 201 and 93 come together is right here. Order of Illuminati. 201-93. We just saw this in a big way with Alec Baldwin. It's also got that 258 like we talked about. We saw this in a big way with Steph Curry's three-point record. 105 points, 201 total points. But 201-93. Order of Illuminati member Baldwin supposedly shot the Ukrainian woman 201 days after his birthday, which is the 93rd day of the year, and it was compared to what happened to Brandon Lee on the set of The Crow, who was buried on Alec Baldwin's birthday, the 93rd day of 93, April 3rd, 93, and Brandon Lee's death was compared to the coincidence of his father, Bruce Lee's death, who died while filming Game of Death, where he fights Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who LeBron just had a big ritual with. But Bruce Lee died on the 201st day of the year in 73 while filming Game of Death, where in the movie he shot while, if you haven't seen Game of Death with Bruce Lee, he plays a character named Billy Lowe, B-L-B-L, Bruce Lee, Billy Lowe. And by the way, for the record, Bruce Lee, 35. Eric equals 35. That's his son's character name in The Crow. Brandon Lee was buried on Alec Baldwin's 35th birthday. We're talking about the Illuminati, whose symbolism is the I-35. Again, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Catholics, 35. Holy See's 35. You see how it all comes together? All these numbers. The word light is 56. In Genesis 1:3, God makes light. That's why we thought Super Bowl 56 would be a 3-point game. That's why we thought Odell Beckham would score the first touchdown. Number 3, born on November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the year, went from Cleveland to L.A. like LeBron. And again, the Rams are originally from Cleveland. See how this all comes together more and more? The Rams are from Cleveland originally. It just all fits together way too perfect because it's all part of a planned script. And again, for all the people out there who are said, well, then why did you like the Bengals more to win? Just remember, the Bengals were the winning side of the bet. So if you took the Bengals bet as it was given in Vegas, you won. If you took the Rams bet as it was given in Vegas, you lost. If you bet Rams money line, you won, but you won less than you would have won if the Bengals covered. And again, if you just took the Bengals with the points, which is what a lot of people did by the end of all the information we put out. You know, we saw that in the 102nd World Series, the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Detroit Tigers, and it's like, that's interesting. 102nd NFL season. Now we got the team that was in St. Louis versus the Tiger team in the year of the Tiger. I mean, it was a tough riddle this year, but ultimately, if you played it safe, and I tell people that's often the smart way to do it. Again, nobody lost money who took all of my advice on the Super Bowl. Beckham paid 9-1. You know, if you did Bengals money line, you lost on that. If you took Aaron Donald as the backup MVP, which I didn't say to put much on because you didn't have to bet much to win. I mean, you lost on that. We thought Cooper Kupp might have a chance if it was LA, and he did end up doing it. You know, we thought it would be a 3-point game, winning bet. If you thought it would go to overtime, which you didn't have to bet much on, you lost on that. But still, if you took the majority of this advice, you came out well ahead. You hit on a 9-1 bet. You could have hit on a 3-point difference. You could have ended up taking the Bengals with the points. All these people talking shit and acting like they had a better Super Bowl call because they took the Rams? False. If you got to brag about that, that's pathetic. Rams money line, that didn't pay jack shit. Anyway, the point is, it's more than about gambling too. It's about understanding how scripted it is. And I got to admit, the thing that fooled me, that the NFL, the thing they fooled me with, was I really didn't think they were going to have the same hosting team win the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. I did wonder when Odell Beckham went to the Rams on his birthday on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. I did wonder about that, and I made a video, and I said, man, that's real interesting. Rams used to be in Cleveland. He's going from Cleveland to the Rams. And again, that was the massive clue on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And remember, he went from Ohio on his 29th birthday. Ohio's 29 in the most pure cipher, like football's 29 in the most pure. The Rams just picked up the 29th win for the NFC and Super Bowls. So Odell Beckham, and again, that's why we thought he'd score the first touchdown. And for the moron who keeps leaving comments, there's nothing impressive about picking Beckham to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Everyone knew that would happen. Again, moron, learn to listen. It's not Beckham to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. It's to score the first touchdown of the game, which is where the payout is. People are so dumb, you know. Anyway, to understand how truly how scripted all this is, look at this. Vladimir Putin, watch this. Vladimir Putin, 56th birthday Tiger. Look at this. It was an international headline that Vladimir Putin, for his 56th birthday, got a tiger. Okay? He's 69 years old right now. So this happened this whole thing with Russia and Ukraine. And again, you guys, here, actually, before I even get to the, let me show you another story that's in the world of basketball right now. Let me pull this woman up. You heard about this Phoenix Mercury player supposedly detained in Russia because she had a vape cartridge in her luggage. Look at this. This woman, right? Here's why they chose this woman. Her name, Griner, equals 91. That's the 13th triangular number, okay? Phoenix equals 91. She plays for the Phoenix Mercury. We've been talking about how this is all getting set off between Ukraine and Russia in the day. Well, now it's happened. Now he just turned 91, Mikhail Gorbachev, but we've been talking about this in the week leading up to this. Mikhail Gorbachev was the last leader of the Soviet Union. He turned 91 on March 2nd. The Soviet Union dissolved on Christmas Day, of all days, right? The Jesuits. Again, the New World Order is the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, the Sun Cult. But again, and think about it, Jesus and 13, Jesus and his 12 disciples, the sun and the 12 constellations, Mother Mary, the moon and its 13-month cycle. There's a reason they like certain numbers like 13. But Brittany Griner, 91 like Phoenix, and this comes on Mikhail Gorbachev's, right around his 91st birthday when the Soviet Union dissolved in 91. And if you don't know, the Soviet Union, Russia and Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union as well as part of the Eastern Bloc. All these separate nations came out of the Soviet Union dissolving. So essentially, Russia's reuniting its biggest piece at the time of Mikhail Gorbachev turning 91, who's the last leader of the Soviet Union in 91. But look at what was going on his birthday, March 2nd. In astrology, Mercury, this woman plays for the Phoenix Mercury. Mercury had its closest conjunction with Saturn for the year. What day did the news break about this woman, being detained in Russia? What day did it break? It broke on Saturday, named after Saturn, which equals 42. She wears the number 42. And in the story, it says that the U.S. said do not travel to Russia as of January 23rd. So the news breaks on March 5th, which is the 42nd day of that do not travel warning. What are the odds? And it's saying she's been detained for weeks, but then they didn't break the news until the perfect time of this ritual right after Gorbachev's 91st birthday. Again, you guys understand the world is a stage. These people that play in these sports leagues, they're part of the same Jesuit cabal that owns these owners, and they use these people like pawns on the chessboard to give us stories that are symbolic. It's like they're trying to clue us in, but they're also making fun of us. Again, it's like they're adults and we're little babies that don't know anything. But all of this stuff is all connected. Once you sign on the line to be part of these leagues are owned by the same Jesuit cabal. And again, just the whole 42 thing. Arizona's 42 where she plays, Russia's 42, World War's 42, War's 42, Jesuits 42, Freemasons 42, February's 42. The other thing that's 91 is Pisces. Here, let me write it out. We're in the time of Pisces, right? Jesus rules the age of Pisces. We're near the end of the age of Pisces. In the Bible, it says Jesus will be with us through the age. And then at the end of the age, that's when all the destruction's supposed to come in Revelation. What are they signaling right now? That there could be nuclear war. They're writing articles about how it could be dark winter, which would spell death for hundreds of millions, if not billions of people on the planet because it would impact the food cycle and people would starve. Again, this is all the stuff from the Bible. That there's this great war, this great famine, this great disease, this great plague. This is what happens in the end of the Bible. They're telling you all this stuff's going on. All of this stuff is biblical. King James is scoring 56 right now, synced up with the first 56-point game at the start of his career. You see, this is bigger than sports. This is understanding what's going on in the world, how scripted it all is. Now here, let me come back to this Putin article. Again, Putin, for his 56th birthday, got a pet tiger, right? What are the odds of this? His 56th birthday, the tiger. And now Super Bowl 56 falls in the year of the tiger. Like we said, we're going to find out who the most important LSU tiger is on the field. Is it the lineman who spent his whole career with the Bengals and then just won the Super Bowl at the Rams? Well, it must have been him. He was the oldest LSU tiger on the field, and he played for the Bengals and Rams his whole career. Odell Beckham, LSU tiger. Joe Burrow, LSU tiger. You had these tigers on both sides. It's usually a QB-driven league, but in this case, it's becoming more and more clear why they had the Rams win. The ram represents Ares, the god of war. And you know what, you guys? The last time LeBron scored 56, let's go back to that date real quick. The last time LeBron scored 56, it was March 20th. Let me put it on the screen. I'm going to show you why. Because all of this is connected. March 20th, what is that? Aries astrological period. All week we've been talking about this stuff on GematriaEffectNews. Well, here it says March 21st, but plenty of I mean, the transition to Aries is actually March 20th, not March 21st. Here. Because remember, it transitions. So it goes from Pisces to Aries on March 20th. March 21st is technically the first full day of Aries, but the real transition date for Aries is March 20th, okay? So March 20th is when Aries begins. Aries is the ram. The ram is the god of war. You see? So LeBron, the last time he had 56 on the first day of Aries, the transition date. Now, as all this stuff's popping off right after Super Bowl 56. And think about what LA is, right? LA is known as the City of Angels. Revelation, angels, the army of heaven led by Michael, right? All of this stuff that they're encoding. We're living out a planned script, you guys. You know, if you're listening to people in the community who are telling you that this isn't planned, it's complete bullshit. This is a complete mockery. And it's not that hard to figure out how they planned it. They took the scripture. The Bible is astrotheology. Again, in the 16th century, they synced it all up. The calendar, astrology, the language, and that's how they got it all mathematically planned out. The tarot cards, all of this stuff happened in the 16th century. They've been operating this way ever since. And with time, obviously, they become a more well-oiled machine. These rituals are perfect. So Putin, at age 56, gets the tiger, right? Where is Putin on the 56th day of the year? Ask yourself, why did they have to rename Kyiv, Ukraine? It used to have a different spelling, you guys. Kyiv, Ukraine in the most pure cipher is 56. What was the headline on the 56th day of the year? That Russia was in Kyiv, Ukraine. The battle for Kyiv on the 56th day of the year. Ukraine's flag, the exact same colors as the Rams and the Warriors. And the Warriors started out in Philadelphia, which is named after the biblical Philadelphia. The letter written to the Church of Philadelphia about the synagogue of Satan. So anyway, Kyiv, Ukraine got the 56 in it. And again, this stuff's the Society of Jesus. The new spelling's also 146 and 151. Again, we know Society of Jesus is 56. Look at Jesus Christ. 146, 151. Jesus Christ to return at the end of the age. Where we are, we're at the end of Pisces. This is all popping off in the time of Pisces. And again, Pisces. 91 in Gematria. We were just about how Griner is 91, and so is Phoenix. And what rises from the ashes, you guys? The Phoenix does. She plays for the Phoenix Mercury. Mercury's the trickster. What's going on with humanity right now? They're being tricked. They're being lied to, you know? Again, what's going on in Ukraine, it might be all Weg. If you guys have never seen the movie Weg the Dog, make a point to watch that movie. Make a point to watch the movie Weg the Dog. It seems like a movie they're trying to remove from society. Like, you can't find it on any streaming service. It's expensive to rent. But if you've never seen Weg the Dog, it's an important movie. It came out when Bill Clinton was president. And if you remember Bill Clinton, he had the whole sex scandal, Monica Lewinsky thing. And remember, he's Jesuit educated, went to Georgetown. Monica Lewinsky's Jewish. The Jesuits are Catholic and Jewish. But anyway, he had the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, and then we had these little small war skirmishes in the Eastern Bloc after the breaking up of the Soviet Union. And some people said that Clinton got involved with those wars to make people forget about what was going on with Monica Lewinsky. Well, what movie came out before all this happened? Weg the Dog. What was Weg the Dog about? It was about a president who had sex with a member of the Girl Scouts. I think the president had sex with a 12-year-old in the movie, if I remember right. And they don't call it the Girl Scouts, but it's like some equivalent of the Girl Scouts. But the story is that the president had sex with a little girl, but then he has to run for re-election. So they bring in Robert De Niro, who's like this chief political strategist, and he says, here's how we're going to get people's mind off the sex scandal story, you know, the pedophile president. What we're going to do is we're going to create a war. And all of them are like, how are we going to create a war? How are we going to do that? And he's like, we'll get the best director in Hollywood, And that's what they do. They create a fake war scene, a fake war on TV. They got everyone distracted with the war. There's no real war going on, but you can't get rid of a wartime president. And that's what they said with George W. Bush too, right? Even though Bush was like a crackhead idiot because there was a war after 9/11, he just had to stay in there in office. 8 years of the crackhead. Whose father was the last Republican president. And people can't see the joke. And again, he gets elected in Florida where his brother's the 43rd governor, and then he becomes the 43rd president. And Florida's 43 like Yale, and they all went to Skull and Bones. Well, Jeb Bush didn't, but his father and he did, who were both presidents. And let's not forget his father was number 41. Skull and Bones is 41. Yale's 43. His dad was also the 43rd vice president and the head of the CIA. Another Jesuit enterprise. But yeah, all of this stuff, you guys, it's a mockery. It's a mockery. And the thing is, even if everything in Ukraine's staged right now, what they're saying could come out of this, that this could lead to a great war, a nuclear war. I mean, I don't know what their full military capability is. I know they got weapons and sophisticated shit, but they're saying that Russia might start hacking and cyber attacking, and KGB agents could be in the nation taking down the grid. Again, out of all this bullshit they create, there could be some real serious consequences. Coronavirus. They locked down the nation because elderly people died in a nursing home. Then what happened? Then your business got shut down. Was the pandemic that serious? I mean, they just put out a story the other day about how the majority of deaths are people age 80 and over. Well, don't people age 80 and over die at a high percentage every year? Again, the world's population hasn't gone down in the time of the pandemic, so has there really been a pandemic? Again, mostly elderly people have died from coronavirus, which was originally coined as flu. It's like a bad strain of the flu. I mean, how many people have tested positive for coronavirus and weren't even sick, but then couldn't go to work for 2 weeks and got behind on their bills? I mean, these are the real consequences out of their agendas. But again, why aren't people rising up and doing anything? Because they still have Cheetos on the shelf. Their cable hasn't been turned off. For the most part, their air conditioning and heating's still been on. They're still comfortable enough. But again, you guys, none of this stuff is good. None of this stuff that's going on is good, And by the way, in this WNBA story, they had to come out and say, on behalf of the 144, we send our love and support. And then I had to look up where that came from. It came from the whole coronavirus bubble thing. And don't forget, NBA bubble's 56. But with regards to the 144, that's Jesuit order. Jesuit order is 144. Remember, the NBA bubble was in Orlando, Florida, which is another 144. Again, all this stuff is Jesuit, you guys. It's all biblical. The Jesuits are the Society of Jesus. And, I mean, just to understand the mockery. Look at this. For Rams coach Sean McVay, Ukraine's fight is personal because he has a fiancé from Ukraine. What are the odds of these things? Did you guys realize this, that Sean McVay's fiancé was from Ukraine? So, her name, Veronica Koman, has gematria of 181, the 42nd prime. And here's another thing to think about. The number of the year this year has been 34. Matt Stafford turned 34 years old and became the 34th quarterback to win a Super Bowl. In Super Bowl era, Matt Stafford's the 34th. Ukraine, in the most pure cipher, is 34. From the beginning of this year up to the present, there's been nonstop suicide stories. Suicide 34. That's like the most recurring theme. If there's a bigger thing than Ukraine this year, it's how many people have been reported dead from suicide. But they're going crazy with 34 this year. And I'm trying to figure out exactly why. There might be something astrological I'm not understanding yet, but I bet we'll figure out why they're going crazy with 34 in 2022. But you might just saw the other day, there was a girl from Stanford who supposedly committed suicide, and look at Stanford and suicide in Gematria. If you missed my video on that, she died 814 days after they won the soccer championship in 2019. She wore the number 19. St. Francis of Assisi equals 814 in Jewish gematria. And Stanford's in the Bay Area. Pretty much everything in the Bay Area is in tribute to St. Francis of Assisi. So I did a video on that. But again, they come out and say the Stanford soccer player. Why? Why would you commit suicide? You're a young woman. You're about to finish college. You won a championship. You are one of the star players in Reason. I mean, this is a person that should be high on life. How are they committing suicide? Doesn't make sense. But we've seen so many stories like this. They're also saying that the day that the suicide story began was March 2nd, 2022, which was a date with 47 numerology. And on February 3rd this year, which was also a date with 47 numerology, which was the 34th day of the year, there were 2 stories of suicide in the news on that day. So again, just the same patterns, over and over. But yeah, I think. Oh, hold on. I want to go back and look at the train wreck thing. Philadelphia train wreck, 2015, 9:23 p.m. Let me see. And remember, this story didn't make any sense, you guys. This story literally made 0 sense. They interviewed a politician right away whose hair was perfect. And they said this train was traveling. Well, now it says 102 miles per hour. You know what? Wikipedia changes stuff over time. I remember what they said this train was traveling when it first happened. They said it was traveling 106 miles per hour. And that's the prophecy number, and Philadelphia is named in Revelation, one of the books of prophecy. But the initial reporting was 106 miles per hour. Wikipedia changes stuff all the time. Anyway, it was May 12th. So, okay, May 12th. This is making more and more sense. That's the 132nd day of the year. When you write out Roman Catholic, it's 132. When you write out Catholic Church, it's 132. When you write out United States of America, it's 132. There's 132 rooms in the White House. From the day the Illuminati was established, May 1st, 1776, to the day the United States of America was named on September 9th, 1776, is a span of 132 days. And there's more to that list. But again, this came right before the Pope. The one thing they still haven't changed, though, is the 9:23 p.m. The Pope came, representing the Roman Catholic Church, and spoke in D.C. on September 23rd, 2015. So I don't know if I covered this at the time, but I just got to look. May 12th, 2015 to September 23rd, 2015. It was 134 days later, or a span of 135 days. And if you write out the Jesuits, it's 134. If you write out Bavaria, it's 135, as in the Bavarian Illuminati. It was 19 weeks and 1 day, like Society of Jesus is 191. But hold on, I think I linked something. Hold on. Okay. All right, so here's an older post from 2016. From the day of the wreck to the day that the finals were lost was 23 days. And the finals ended on 6-4. Amtrak is 64. It was an Amtrak wreck. We know King's 23. All the stuff with LeBron and the King. 23 minutes after the hour. Again, LeBron James, 9:23 in Jewish Gematria. I didn't know reverse Gematria yet when I did this post, so I didn't know as much. But that movie came out 66 days after the wreck. And we were just talking about that. LeBron 66, LeBron James 66, Number of the Beast 66, Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible where Philadelphia is mentioned. Oh, hold on. That was to the start of the NBA Finals. From the wreck to the start of the finals was 23 days. That makes more sense. Yeah, so again, it's just they got everything synced up. And again, I mean, they were marketing the movie Trainwreck at the same time this happened. So it's just like, come on. And remember, Philadelphia is important to basketball because the first pro basketball championship was won by the Philadelphia Warriors. Now LeBron's latest ritual against the Warriors. And they've done train derailments with other stuff in basketball. I remember when Villanova beat North Carolina, there was a train derailment before the game. But yeah, I mean, it was obvious that something was way off with this story. They interviewed a politician who was supposedly on the 106-mile-per-hour traveling train at the time, and then he's right there in front of cameras, unblemished, no injuries. I mean, can you imagine being in a wreck 106 miles per hour? How are you going to get off the train just like unscathed? hair perfect, and talk about the wreck you were just in. No way. You're probably in a body bag. You know, you're in critical condition. A wreck at that speed? And that's why they just treat us like we're idiots, you guys. That's what's so annoying. It's so annoying that people can continue to watch this shit. It's like, okay, in what world is somebody in a wreck at 102? I mean, on a train, there's no safety belts. You're not strapped in. You know? I mean, that's like the worst. That's why, if you guys don't know this, the most deadliest form of transportation in the U.S. is trains. The most people are hurt and killed in train wrecks each year because they're not the safest thing when they crash. But, again, it all goes back. I've been saying the same thing over and over. I've never had to change my message. Jesuits and Masons, all this stuff's biblical. I mean, they put it in your face. You learn this little simple code, this elementary code, and you pay attention. You see what they're doing day after day. The only thing that's changed is it's gotten more difficult to call games. You know, it's like yesterday. I thought the Lakers had a good chance to win, but I told people to be cautious. I said, I hate Saturdays. Saturdays have become the worst days to decode sports. I said the riddle's there, the King James riddle's there, you know, back in the old days, you know, this is coming through. We'll see. It's got a shot tonight, you know. I said the Lakers team isn't giving us a lot of confidence these days, but still the King James numbers are there. Boom, it ends up being one of the biggest King James rituals ever. And again, we saw the whole number of the beast, all the usual things were there. It's just, I know that over the course of the last few years, things have become a lot more challenging. You know, and I think that's because a lot of people have learned the knowledge. Look at all the people in the world. There's probably at least 50 people now who have a Patreon, decoding sports with Gematria, and selling their picks. There's a lot of people doing this. There's a lot of people doing this. When I started, I was the only person in the world. You know, nobody knew anything about any of this before I came along. And I'm not unhappy that more people are out there and spreading the knowledge, and I'm not exactly unhappy that it's become more difficult to decode and win at gambling. That was never my purpose. To me, it shows that they're having to switch up their formulas, which means we're having an impact. Are we having a big enough impact? Not even close. Why is that? Is that our fault? No, it's not our fault. You know, I've done a great job of teaching this and exposing it and showing how it can be used. But the problem is the sleeping brain-dead masses. That's the problem. You know, the people that just don't want to get it. I don't understand it, so I don't get it. To me, it seems like he's just making whatever words into whatever numbers he wants. It's like, if that's your interpretation, again, you're the product of, again, what they've done to us. Chemically dumbed us down, made us stupid in school. I mean, you can't just make anything equal whatever you want. It either equals that or it doesn't. Here, I want my name to equal 99. Here, watch. Oh, wait, it doesn't, you know. You could make the argument that I have the 66 in it. But, again, am I on TV as a celebrity and they're doing 66 rituals with me every day, put up stats? Zach Hubbard, first person to decode 2 championships in a row in 66 years. No, this isn't going on. That's why when you guys start applying it to my name, and it's just like, just shut the fuck up. Again, I'm not the one on ESPN tonight with the same old stats, you know, the same old scripted stats. Everyone's going to have numbers in their name. You know, you can't, that's not the way to use the knowledge. The point is to point out what they're doing in the media by scripting. And by the way, did I not just tell you guys Russia-Ukraine was going to pop off February 22nd? I know I did. You know, just the latest of a million correct predictions. So, again, if you guys haven't read the last books, if you haven't read the books, if you want to know how we can make these predictions so easily, it's because the patterns are so repetitive. Order out of chaos is 222. Last night said Kobe Covington, you know, probably going to win because he's 16-3. Probably before long, he'll probably be 18-3. They call him chaos. Familiar pattern. Order out of chaos. 183. What day is Covington's birthday? 222. What day did all the chaos start in the world? The order out of chaos that boosted energy prices on February 22nd because of Russia-Ukraine with these Jesuit puppets. Putin's a Jesuit puppet. Biden's a Jesuit puppet. Volodymyr Zelensky's a Jesuit puppet who was a comedian before he was president, who made a TV show about becoming a president before becoming president. I mean, this stuff's a joke. But, and here, last night's UFC fight, look at this. UFC 272. It was Covington versus Masvidal. And last night we were looking at a thing, and it was like Covington versus, if I got it spelled right. Yeah, Covington versus Masvidal with the emphasis on it. 272, right? What a matchup for UFC 272. Again, that's how you can see week after week that they're clearly using Gematria to create the headline event, to create the next scripted winner. It's just so obvious. I wouldn't have saw this in the beginning because I didn't know reverse gematria, but that's how we know this is the other half of the code, because stuff like this happens all the time that's way beyond coincidence. So now you got something to remember. Next time Covington fights, does he become 18-3? I would imagine so, because they do order out of chaos. Look at this. Again, chaos got the 19, but hold on. Like I just said, order out of chaos is 183. Look at Pearl Harbor. You see how Pearl Harbor is also 183? Look at Vladimir Putin. That's the day he met with Biden. Vladimir Putin met with Biden on Pearl Harbor Day to discuss what's going on in Ukraine. And I said it's 201 days after the Ignatian year began, big Jesuit number. You know, it's just so obvious how all these rituals work. But Vladimir Putin's 183. Order out of chaos is 183. And that's why you got to know it both ways. What day does the order out of chaos start from this ongoing contrived thing? It starts on 2/22. Kobe Covington's birthday is 2/22. You see? And if you write out Pearl Harbor Day, you know, as we now call it, look at President Biden in Pearl Harbor Day. The exact same in all four ciphers. You see? And don't forget that Jesuit Georgetown simulated Biden winning the election 144 days before it happened at the Transition for Integrity Project, June 12th, 2020. And now they're thanking the 144 for standing up for the woman supposedly captured in Ukraine. I mean, this stuff's a joke. So there's even more that could be said. There's so many layers to the ritual that's going on right now. But again, like I've been explaining to you guys from the beginning, sports, news, world affairs, it's all synced up. It's all Jesuit Masonic ritual. It should have been obvious to everyone. Like, I don't know why the whole world didn't wake up when I fully woke up when I was 18 in 2001. I just don't understand how anyone of adult age couldn't have seen through what was going on. George W. Bush's election in the state where his brother was the governor, after a month of them telling us before the election happened. I mean, that's what the news was saying for 1 month before the election, that the only state that was going to matter was Florida, where his brother was the governor. And at first, if you guys weren't alive then, at first Florida was called for Al Gore. Al Gore was announced as the new president-elect, and that was on the back of Clinton, where he was the vice president. But then 30 minutes later, Fox News came out, the new Republican news station, brand new at the time, comes out and says, no, it's too close. We think Bush might have won. And then next thing you know, they're saying Bush won Florida, so now he's the president. And the next thing you know, the Supreme Court, with all these Bush-Reagan appointees, is coming in and stopping the recount. It's like, we're supposed to think we live in a democracy? The Supreme Court just stopped the recount in Florida so that we have to have the Republican president, the first since the last, who was his father? This is supposed to be a democracy? I mean, I was just like, God, people are dumb. And I said right then, I bet you shit's going to get crazy in this country. Something is off. The next thing you know, 9/11's happening. Obvious lie. I mean, the most obvious lie in the history of lies. Just complete demolition of buildings that made zero sense. Blamed on a man in a cave. Makes zero sense. You know, next thing you know, Congress is taking weeks to make sure you can't know all the food preservatives that are in there. They're making sure certain food preservatives don't have to be on food labels anymore. It's like, wow. Can't even know what's in our food, huh? That sounds like they're looking out for our health. God, okay. Again, you guys, this is the nation you live in. And most of you don't even give a shit about it because you weren't paying attention to anything. You were watching sports games. You missed the coverage of the ongoing battle for a month about, you know, making new laws of the land so you can't even know what's in your food. You guys didn't even pay attention to any of it at all. I know where I've been living, a society of dummies. I've been dealing with them the whole time. Just amazed at how dumb people are. Just amazed. It's like impossible levels of stupidity. But it is. I mean, it's not impossible because it is. But this is the nation we live in, you guys. A nation that can't see through any obvious mockery, can't see that they're being spit on, can't see that they're in slave school. You're being told you're free while you're literally being required to be in school and learn a bunch of bullshit and have your whole childhood wasted. How many people get out of school and have zero skills, zero knowledge? Almost everyone. They think they know something because they remembered to circle C for Christopher Columbus discovered America. You know, so they got their diploma. Now they're ready to work the cash register. You know, scan the barcode, scan the barcode, scan the barcode. let the computer tell them how much change to give back. Well, now you don't even need to do that because everything's electronic. But again, this is the society they created, a society of dopes, a society of stunted morons. And again, I'd probably be one of the masses if I didn't grow up in Portland, Oregon, and have a mom that was so opposed to fluoride. Sometimes I wonder if that's how they really got us. I don't think I got all my shots as a kid. I didn't have any fluoride ever in my body because I grew up in a city without fluoride in the water, and my mom hated fluoride. So I never had fluoride until probably I moved to Arizona, and Arizona's water was the sickest shit there ever was. But sometimes I just wonder if that's the one difference, you know? I say that my sister grew up in Portland, but my mom had my sister when she was still a teenager, and she didn't know as much yet, so my sister actually probably got some of the poison back then. My sister's dumb as rocks. I mean, she's one of the dumbest people on the planet right now. But anyway, that's not really saying much. I mean, she's in the same category as almost everybody else, just completely dumb and fooled by every obvious lie. But and thinks gematria is mental illness. It's like, really? You think this is mental illness as it just lines up day after day? Again, it's only a reflection of how dumb you are. But yeah, there's probably even more to it, so I look forward to the good comments and observations, and there's probably a few rituals. I mean, and remember, you guys, with regards to it all being in the Catholic Church, don't forget Kobe died while traveling from Catholic Mass, so we were told on the Pope's 41st day of his age at age 41. 41's the 13th prime. Jesus and the 12 disciples. Crucifix, 40. Or hold on, it's crucify. Crucify is 41. You know, I think that's the ritual that they were going there with Kobe, dead on his 41st day of the Pope's age. And don't forget, Kobe died on his 157th day of his age. And everything else there is to it. Car accident that he helped out with 113 days from his birthday. Then he's dead 44 days later in the helicopter crash. LeBron's train wreck was in Philly, Kobe's hometown. LeBron passes Kobe in points scored the day before Kobe dies in Philly. I mean, what are the odds of these things? It was synced up with Will Smith, who went from Philly to L.A., synced up with Kanye West, all the things. Again, download, go to GematriaEffectNews 24, click on a video. Here's how you do it. You just click on a video, you go to the description, download my ebooks for free. It'll take you to the subscribe star page, and then boom, you just click and it just downloads. Number Games is the green book, which has a lot about LeBron and Number of the Beast, and it has a whole chapter on rig sports. And then the black and red book's Number Games, and that's got the entire chapter on Kobe's death. So, but yeah, you guys, I mean, you know, the thing to be doing now as a human being is trying to wake up your fellow man, and again, to be prepared for what could come. If they're going to do what they're telling you with all the cyber attacks and the grid going down, you might want to make sure you have some water on hand. You might want to make sure you got some canned food on hand that doesn't need to be refrigerated. You might want to make sure you have a first aid kit, some bandages, you know, just in case there's a medical emergency. People tend to get hurt more when the lights are out and you can't see where you're walking. And you might want to make sure you have a personal protection device. If you don't like guns, get a taser. You know, you might want to have something. They got bad things planned for us, you guys. I don't know how soon it's coming, but they've been writing it in stone, movies. I knew when The Walking Dead came out, that wasn't an entertainment show. That was predictive programming. Look into Justin Timberlake's music video Supplies. He just turned 41 years old at the beginning of the year. Set in L.A. with the lights out. The last season of 911 was L.A. with the lights out. This 56 thing, you know. We're in the time of Aries. If you guys just missed the video I did on the Super Bowl commercial where Arnold Schwarzenegger turns out the power on L.A., doing the Bavarian Motorworks commercial, BMW, if you missed that. But power outage is a big 56 thing. You see how power outage has the 56, 52, 151? Look at Revolution. You know, the TV show Revolution about the power outage that changes the world. And here, in case you haven't seen this before, I'll show you one more thing with just regards to 56 and what's going on. Public Enemy put out the album What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down. We used that album to predict the Valentine's Day blackouts on Valentine's Day 2021. Maybe I should have searched Public Enemy. Here, I'll try this instead. The search feature on my website is not good. It should be a lot better than it is. Okay. Public Enemy's album was called Apocalypse 91 by the... Oh, that's interesting, actually, in light of I'm glad I just thought about that. Public Enemy's Apocalypse 91 is By the Time I Get to Arizona. And again, on the What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down album, Arizona's on the cover, whose birthday is Valentine's Day, which was the day of the blackouts, synced up with their album. Let me see if this is the right post. Yeah, it is. Okay, so from Chuck D's August 1st birthday to the day this album came out, September 25th, 56 days later. And again, Power Outages 56 like Society of Jesus. Black Lives Matter's 56 and 259. The album came out on 25/9. What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down? That's the day in history that JFK gave a speech about weather control, September 25th. And it was the weather that was blamed on the grid going down in Texas, parts of the East Coast. Portland and Houston were without power for a week. So was Dallas. Portland and Houston have a weird connection through basketball. Damian Lillard's brother's name is Houston. Clyde Drexler, the Portland Trailblazer great, who's from Houston. Enron out of Houston bought up Portland General Electric and screwed every employee out of their retirement in record time because they bought the company right before they collapsed and it lost every employee's retirement. People who'd worked there their whole lives. That was a big deal in Portland when it happened. And, but yeah, all this stuff, you guys, it's the same numbers, it's the same patterns, and just to show you how perfect it is. And something I was saying about Arizona being on the cover is Janet Napolitano in 2013. She gave her speech when she resigned from DHS saying that the next 9/11 is not if but when, and it'll be the power grid taken down. And then just last Sunday, a week ago from today, 60 Minutes, their show was how easy it would be to take down the power grid for the nation and how it almost happened in 2013 right before Napolitano gave this speech. And then on the 60th day of the year, which was 2 days after the 60 Minutes special last week, there was supposedly an active shooter at the first nuclear power energy station in the world, which is Hanford's site in Washington, right after the 60 Minutes on the 60th day of the year. And 60 Minutes showed how a sniper could take down the power grid, as they almost did in Jesuit-controlled Santa Clara in 2016. But here, look at this. From the day that album came out, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, to the Valentine's Day blackouts, 142 days later. 14/2 Valentine's Day. And what's on the cover? Arizona, whose birthday is Valentine's Day. You see how they do it? You see how they do it? They said that because of that weather, 142 sea turtles were rescued. And here, just for one more thing, actually, in case you missed this, I was thinking about Andre 3000 the other day, and I remembered he had a song that started with Chernobyl from the AT Aliens album, and just the way they use celebrities and sync up stuff. And it starts off, me and everything around me is unstable like Chernobyl, ready to go at any moment, jumping like a pogo stick. Anyhow, the chorus of that song is planets and stars, Earth, Jupiter, Mars. So I was thinking about this, and then I had to look, and I said, wow, this is crazy. He's going to turn 47 later this year on May 27th. And what blew my mind is from the day that Russia supposedly took Chernobyl, which was February 24th, and then the next day, the 56th day of the year, we got the headline about how they had 92 hostages when they took it over. Again, uranium, which is the nuclear fuel at a nuclear power plant, is atomic number 92. But from the day they took the plant, Chernobyl, to Andre's birthday, who's got the lyric about Chernobyl, is 92 days. And again, uranium 92. And then what's more wild is, again, it's synced up with his 47th birthday, where Ukraine and time are 47. And then what's even more crazy is, again, the chorus of the song is Earth, Jupiter, Mars. Jupiter is the tiger planet. We're in the year of the tiger. Remember, Putin got his tiger when he was 56. Mars is the god of war. Aries is Mars. We're in Aries now. But look at this. There's going to be a conjunction of Jupiter and Mars this year. The conjunction for 2022 of Jupiter and Mars is May 28th, the day after his birthday. The day after his birthday is the day for the conjunction. Now, here's something else that's wild. Rambo, who's really good with astrology, is telling me that this is not the right date. He's saying it's actually the next day, May 29th. And it might just vary depending on where you are in the world. Because that's the thing about astrology. It can matter where you are in the Earth's position. But the point is, it's either one day after his birthday or it's 2 days after his birthday. And if it's May 29th, I like the date May 29th even less. Check this out. Here's a book from 1968, the infamous year, about nuclear warfare and AI and replacing humans. The name of this book is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And this is what Blade Runner is based off of, part of this story. But you see how it's 149 in the most pure? 149 in the most pure. May 29th is the 149th day of the year, which is the 35th prime. Again, Catholic, Holy See, I. But remember, Revelation is 149. Revelation's 149. And if you go to Revelation 14:9, if you go to this verse, it says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand." Look at what this verse equals from the King James Version. If you go to my website, it also has a Gematria calculator. You can download the version for your cell phone for free. If you go to GematriaEffectNews and click calculator, and then scroll down the page, you can download for Apple or Android. But there's a setting for Bible verses, and you do use large text input. This way you can put in full verses and see all the words. But you see how this verse in the reverse reduction is 666. Again, the number of the beast, the verse mentions the beast. In Jewish Gematria, prophecy is 666. Here, let me knock out some ciphers real quick. We're just going to do the most simple cipher and Jewish Gematria. Yesterday's ritual with LeBron synced up with the King James Bible, which paid tribute to Number of the Beast. It was 106 days before King James's real birthday, and also 106 days before Game 7 of the NBA Finals, if it goes there this year, June 19th. Again, the last time it was there, LeBron beat Curry on that day. If LeBron made it back to the finals, if it's some kind of epic comeback, he could get to 5 and 6 in the finals this year. But, you know, if I was going to bet on that, it wouldn't be very much, you know. If you bet on the Lakers to beat the Warriors in Game 7, you could bet $10 right now and win several hundred. I mean, you wouldn't have to risk much. But that's the only kind of bet I would do on that right now. I'm not sure it's going to be the Lakers this year. It's interesting, though, after the ritual. I won't be surprised if LeBron ends up moving teams and plays till he's age 42 and ends up being 5 and 6 and 6 and 6 in the finals. I still think they're going to do that. But he might be capped with the Lakers at 17. Again, that's the NBA number. They got 17 championships, sorry, like the Celtics. But anyway, yesterday was 106 days before King James's birthday. And the most simple cipher, prophecies 106, and Jewish Gematria at 666. And remember, when the Philadelphia train wreck happened, despite what it now says on their webpage, it was reported that it was a 106-mile-per-hour train crash. Here, let's see if those headlines are still there. Philadelphia train wreck, 106 miles per hour. Oh, it was train number 188. See, here's still the headlines, 106 miles per hour. I remember it like it was yesterday. With regards to it being train number 188, you guys, remember, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Bavarian Illuminati. Let me spell it right. 188, Illuminati symbolism all over the dollar bill. What are the dollar bill denominations? The 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100. What happens when you add up all those bills? 188. You know. But yeah, the Philadelphia train wreck at the time was 106 miles per hour. Here's all these things. CBS, Washington Post, The Guardian. Isn't it funny how Wikipedia changes stuff over time? It's just stupid that they do that. And again, I think part of the reason they do is it's like 1984. If information's always shifting, people are confused. Almost anytime I do a video on a mass shooting, 24 hours after I upload the video, I have a bunch of criticisms in there because you're like, this is bullshit. Your details are wrong. That's not even the number. And it's like, okay, because you didn't see the story when they first started, what they first reported. All the numbers changed 24 hours later. You just had the shooting supposedly at a Sacramento church, and the initial reporting was that a father killed his 3 children and his wife. So that's what I reported. The next day, the story's changed to a father killed his 3 children and their adult chaperone. So people are saying, you're just making stuff up. He didn't kill his wife. That's not what it says. It's like, okay, you saw the story after the details changed. I covered the story with the initial reporting. But that's the thing about this day and age. Information's always changing. A guy watches the story at this time. He gets this detail from the news. Hours later, they're not saying that they corrected their information, but they're reporting something different. Again, it's just like what's written about in 1984. And it's easy to do because everybody now it's not like you're reading from a book. You're not reading from a book anymore. You're reading from an electronic screen where an update of the page changes all the information, you know? So, anyway, what time is it? It's almost 11 out here on the West Coast. Here, you know what? Just to be a little bit more festive, we will take we'll take a few phone calls to see if anybody else has anything to add into this. Maybe you see something I don't see or you got a question. But hold on. I'm not going to do a lot of calls. So again, if you call in, just short and to the point. 1 to 2 minute call. We'll try to hear from 10 different people and we'll call it a wrap. And be on topic, please. All right, the line is open. Oh, I see. Hold on. I got it. For those of you guys who already know the number, I mean, you know what to call. But here, for those of you guys who don't know the number, it's about to pop up on the screen right now. Hold on. I got to resize it so you can see it. All right, Kayla Decode Talker. If you guys don't know Kayla, that's her channel, Kayla Decode Talker. I'm sure she's got some great observations. What's going on, Kayla?
Hey, Zach. I'm just looking more at the whole Russia Griner thing. But, I mean, I just want to make sure that you realize that it was the Chicago Sky and the Phoenix Mercury that played each other in the WNBA Finals last year.
I didn't know that.
October 17th. Yeah. And that was what was, I left a comment, I don't know if you've seen it, but that was what was interesting about Chicago Sky winning the finals, because Chicago Sky is also Ukraine's colors, the blue and yellow. And just looking at it, I mean, a lot of it had to do with Candace Parker, because Candace Parker just came from the LA Sparks to the Sky last year. And, you know, the whole reference with Los Angeles Rams winning the Super Bowl and then also being Ukraine's colors. It's just funny to think about Sparks to Sky, you know, like Sparks in the Sky is where Candace Parker came from. And Candace Parker has that April 19th birthday, the last day of Aries. So 419, you know, the whole Rams association, Aries being a ram. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm trying to put it more together. But,
well,
I mean,
so
last season just
both Phoenix teams then lost in basketball last year, the Suns and the Mercury. And again, just with the predictive programming with the Phoenix album cover and just how all this stuff comes together. So she's in the news yesterday.
Right.
Did you notice that North Carolina yesterday upset Duke and became 23-8? That Michael Jordan number again, 238. And so I'm just thinking Jordan, Chicago, bigger script here.
Yeah, and and then even like April 19th is the 109th day of the year, like Los Angeles equates to 109. What else was it? And then now we've been talking about 129 being the 201st number in base 8 counting. Just a couple things I found interesting with that is from the WNBA Finals, October 17, 2021, to the date that Ukraine was attacked in the U.S., like the date was That was February 23rd, right? It was the 23rd in the U.S.?
Right, it was the 24th there, 23rd here, right.
Yeah, so that was 129 days difference. And I noticed in the article about Griner, her last game playing for the Russian team had been on January 29th. But I'm just seeing that 129 in a couple different places in regards to the finals in Russia and Griner. And even, okay, so the Phoenix Mercury, they were seeded number 5, and then the Sky, they were seeded number 6 to put that 5-6 together. And of course, Candace Parker, she wears that number 3.
You're saying last year when the championship happened, they were the 5 and 6 seeds?
Yes.
And then the Bucks, so the Bucks, Milwaukee's not far from Chicago. The Bucks equals 56, so that fits in too, just all the 56 stuff. Both Arizona teams lose. The same region of the U.S. essentially wins both championships, Chicago and Milwaukee. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just taking a look back at some of my old stuff, because I had been blocked. Because Candace Parker, I mean, she was just hot news all over the place last year because she was the first WNBA player to make the NBA 2022 cover, the video game. Let's see. Oh, and then also another 201 would be from the WNBA Finals, October 17th last year to the start date this year. This year it's going to start on 5-6, May 6th. And that's exactly 201 days difference. And even the finals game, the duration of the time, they say it's 2 hours and 1 minute long. I mean, I just feel like there's a huge connection with this game and the whole Ukraine thing. And yeah, and then just talking about 5-6, and I think people realize that Chris Paul, he was the recipient of the Kobe and Gigi WNBA award during the All-Star game in the NBA. And he has that 5-6 birthday, like how the WNBA is going to start on 5-6. And, yeah, he wears number 3, too. And, 5-6 is the 126th day of the year. Gianna Bryant, 126, the day that they died. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just taking a look. I'm planning to put a video out on the whole, of course, Brittany Griner later on. And, I mean, just how they're saying that she was detained. Detained also equals 35, like yesterday's date, March 5th, even though that's the date it was only released. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to put out for now. But I just wanted people to realize the colors of Chicago Sky are similar to Ukraine's as well.
Indeed, and it's so much like the NBA Finals last year. I noticed the first game was won by the Sky with 91. The second game was won by the Mercury with 91. And then what's funny is the Sky won the last game over the Mercury with 80, and that's the atomic number of Mercury, 80. So.
Okay, good one. So. All right. Well, and then one other thing, just the name similarity between the MVP of the WNBA Finals. Her name was Kaylee Copper. It just reminds me of Cooper, but it's Copper is her last name. So I don't know, it just could be wordplay there. But yeah, that was pretty much all I had. But,
all right. I knew you'd have something brilliant. I know you know your WNBA, so yeah, very good information. I didn't know any of that. Thank you.
All right. Okay, you're welcome.
All right, take care. Right, bye. October 17th. Yeah, that's interesting. So this color scheme, again, colors. It's all symbols, man. Numbers, letters, colors. Again, it's that alchemy thing. Everything carries a vibration. But yeah, you can just see the same color scheme all over the place. Hold up. I got to see how many days it was from those finals to when that broke out. 559?
How's it going, Zach? I called in a couple weeks ago about my friend. Anyways, I don't know if you heard about the new film that's coming out, A Winning Time, about the Lakers and Magic Johnson and one other player, I forget. But the first number they flash up on the screen of the trailer, I haven't looked that much into the film, but I'm sure there's more.
Hold on. Before you get into this movie, I just want to say real quick, I was talking about yesterday how Brittany Griner, hold on, I got to pull this up real quick about Griner. I just see that from when the finals ended, the WNBA finals, to her news yesterday was 139 days later, which is the 34th prime, where Ukraine's 34, and they keep doing all this 34 stuff this year. But I know there was something about her in 139 real quick, too. What was it? I wrote it down. Oh, for her birthday's the day after those finals ended. So it was 138 days after her birthday, or her 139th day of her age, but also 139 days after the WNBA finals ended. Okay, all right, about the movie now. I'm listening.
But yeah, called A Winning Time. I think it's coming out today. And like the Lakers have been on a losing streak, so it would make sense that the day before a movie about the Lakers called A Winning Time comes out, that they would
Oh,
streak,
you saying this reminds me of a comment I saw that I forgot to look into. Somebody said that King Von just had an album come out, and we predicted King Von's death before it happened off his LeBron James album. So apparently he just had an album come out the other day too. But okay, so this Winning Time's about the Lakers. Interesting.
Yeah, it was one of the like big ads that was showing during the Super Bowl. So
really,
yeah, and also I don't know. I was watching one of your older Kobe videos, and I don't know if you've seen this video, but Kobe did an interview with The Ringer, and it was about death, mythology, and basketball. And he talks about how when he was younger and lived in Italy, and he studied Greek mythology and all that, and when he asked him about like his favorite thing, Kobe says, like, his favorite thing is storytelling, and like he does it through the game of basketball. And I thought, well, that's how they're doing it, is like through these numbers, and they're paying tribute to history, and they're telling stories through basketball. You know what I mean?
Indeed. Hey, for the record, Winning Time equals 65 in the most pure cipher, and it does come out today, March 6th, the 65th day of the year. Again, and that's why from the beginning, that one cipher, it's just like day after day. It just, everything lines up so perfect. Winning Time on the 65th day of the year. I got to think about more where that will fit in with LeBron and the Lakers right now. It's a reflection of that 56, but
also, the last time I called in about my friend, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I forgot a few things. So like he was killed on the Freemason, the 301st anniversary, where the killer's name equals 301. It also equals 103 in reverse Pythagorean. And the reason I looked into all these numbers is because they pushed the court dates and stuff back a million times. I know the courts are fucked, but, just really suspicious. And anyways, so Joseph Antonio Espinoza also equals 103, and he's being sentenced on March 10th, and 3. Also, like how they were established in 1717, when my friend was shot and killed, he was 17, and Joseph Antonio Espinoza faced 17 charges for other things, including that murder. Anyways, just how I add that.
All right. Sorry about your friend again, but yeah, that kind of stuff is very strange. So appreciate the call, man.
And a lot of the things like connect back to our Catholic education.
Indeed.
Somehow, so.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care. Be safe.
Have a good one.
Hold up, you guys. Look at what's in the news. Ex-Amtrak engineer acquitted in Philadelphia train crash that killed 8. And again, right here in the article, 106 miles per hour. Look at what day this was published. March 4th. Again, that's the day in history that Pennsylvania became Pennsylvania. King Charles gave the land to William Penn. What are the odds of that? And then I didn't even know this, but I was bringing this up yesterday in yesterday's Patreon. I was saying, it's funny the Kings are on 923, and I went right to the train story because I mean that's where I realized the connection for the first time with LeBron and 923. There's been several things since, but again, this is just like fresh in my head like yesterday. What are the odds that this is in the news at the same time? And again, this should show you it's all a big story. The news, the sports, it's all part of one big ongoing script. 217.
Hey, how's it going, Zach? I actually just got in this live a few minutes ago, so if this has already been said, apologies. Go ahead and stop me. But has anybody brought up what LeBron said to Matt Stafford at the game last night?
What happened?
So I was watching the game, and Matt Stafford and his wife were sitting courtside. And right after he got that big alley-oop dunk to get his 54th point, and they called a timeout, he was walking back from his timeout to the court, and he walked right in front of Matt Stafford, and he looked and he said, I can't have you in the building and not put on a show, right? And then Matt Stafford kind of smiled and looked at him, and then his wife waved, and then the commentators, or the narrators rather, they repeated what he said as well. So I thought that was weird.
I see the emphasis on put on a show right there. It's got 44 in the Gematria, just like Matt Stafford, like Detroit, like how the Super Bowl was on the 44th day of the year. It's got the 118, like Los Angeles, California, 118 on the 118th Meridian West. Celebrates his birthday September 4th, the day leaving 118. It's got that 152, which has been everywhere in sports this year, too. 152nd college football season was won by Georgia, which equals 44. And then Stafford wins the Super Bowl on the 44th day of the year. It's been a big year for Georgia. Of course, Hank Aaron, number 44. With regards to LeBron in 44, LeBron signed his lifetime deal with Nike while that company was 44 years old. But yeah, I see it right there and put on a show. I get the emphasis on it right away. So good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last time they won a game, I believe, was against the Jazz, and it was a big comeback win. And Aaron Donald was at the game courtside as well, and he and Aaron Donald embraced each other after the game and during the game. So I just think it's weird how every time like a LA Rams Super Bowl winner comes to the Laker game, the Lakers win. It's like it's just a big LA show. So,
well, since Kobe died, we have seen the Lakers win the NBA Finals, the Dodgers win the World Series, now the Rams a Super Bowl, and the only two LA. Well, actually, I guess they got the MLS team as well. But you got the Angels and you got the Hockey Kings. With all the King stuff, I got to think something's coming in the not-too-distant future for the Kings. Might be like 2024 or something, since Kings is 24 and Kobe's 24. That might be the last little ritual in it, the LA Kings. But, yeah, it's obvious that Kobe's death has brought a number of championships already to LA. 3 already, so.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call. Good heads up.
Yeah, appreciate it. You too.
All right, take care. So this guy's name in the train wreck, Brandon Boston, it's got that 58. That's a big number with King James. The real King James died at age 58. Remember, Biblical's 58. Freemasonry's 58. Rosicrucian's 58. Secret Society's 58. Kobe Bryant's 58. Los Angeles Lakers is 58. Remember, Kobe gets passed by LeBron in Philly, then he's dead the next day, in a biblical riddle. 917?
Zachary, how you doing?
Doing all right. What's up?
Yeah, did anybody call in about the new Batman movie?
Well, we talked a little bit about the new Batman movie. Not today, though. Why? What's up?
I didn't catch anything on it, but I did a little synchronicity. I called it synchronicity. It was like from the first Batman movie in 1989 to the day of the release of the new one was 103. 103 weeks, and they released on the 103rd day of the year this year. It was a crazy synchronicity, and just coincidence about they're ending the coronavirus, and then they come out with the Batman, the Batmobile. It's just mockery, but
do you remember at the beginning of coronavirus how the U.S. minted the first ever quarter with a bat on it?
Yeah, I emailed you it. I said, look at the find, and then you said good find. You emailed me back and said good find.
It was a fruit bat, and fruit bat's 56 like coronavirus. So.
Yeah, I sent you a photo that I had a photo. I emailed you one. It's showing you one, and you said good find.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that. So you were the first one to notice that, then. Okay, all right, you're all over the bat thing.
No, I wasn't the first one to notice that. I was the first. I obtained one, but I wasn't the first one that pointed it out. Someone had been pointed it out, but I had obtained one. I had emailed you a photo of it. But man, anybody talking about the house that Zachary built is a derelict. Period.
What? Wait, what? I don't know. What did you just say? What's that mean?
Anyone who's talking down about the house that Zachary built is a derelict.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. I hear that. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome. And honestly, I mean, there's been people like
Thank
you who've helped make the good contributions. So thank you. Appreciate you.
I emailed you the photo of Trump where it was like 47 the 47 hit. He was like I did more for
47 months
Biden
than 47 years, right?
That photo, yeah, I'm in contact, man. But anyway, good job. You're a legend. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, appreciate it.
No one has brought this to the internet like you have.
Well, I got to say, I was very determined when I was 18 to figure out exactly what was going on, and I knew it was something about numbers. So, I mean, it just took a lot of years of paying attention and reading and hard work, and then finally, you know, it's been hard work, I guess, mostly. So, appreciate it, though, man. Thank you.
I studied this for a while before if you got to come across your information if you study this, but you just took it to a whole different level. Period.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, hard work and determination. All right, man. Thank you.
Be well.
All right, have a good one. You guys see the 118 points at the half in the Celtics game? I know we covered some deaths over the years with the Celtics in 118. But again, you look at these games every day, you just see like how scripted it is. How scripted it is. There's been a number of former Celtic players who died in connection to 118. You got 118 points at the half. It's just, R.I.P. to Kevin Durant's coach in high school who was off by the numbers, who he wore the number 35 for. But yeah, I mean, these games, perfect scripts, week after week, day after day. And we got any more callers, or should we wrap it up? I know Sweet Lady's probably getting hungry. So. $708. 708. You got to mute the video. 708, you're on. You got to mute the video, though.
Oh, okay. I just did. All right, Zach. All right. I don't know if anybody pointed this out yet, but the narrative that they got going on with DeMar DeRozan playing like super crazy this year in the NBA, I think it does point to how like the last time LeBron scored 56, and that was against Toronto, DeRozan comes up with 83 and 38 for like the English ordinal and full reduction. So somebody pointed out in the live chat that it could be Bulls versus Lakers, and I definitely kind of do see that playing out, especially if he is in contention for winning MVP this year. So I don't know.
So again, it's all about solving the riddle in the history. They did do something really big with Jordan and his birthday, and then that same number that we were talking about for Jordan's birthday came up big with UNC yesterday on the day of LeBron's game. North Carolina upsets Duke in Coach K's last game in the regular season at the building, and they get to 23-8, like Michael Jordan's 23-8, like we thought the Bulls would be 23-8 going into Jordan's birthday, which they did. And what's funny is if you go back to my oldest post on Coach K, it's about there's something going on with him and the number 81. I didn't know what it was back then, but now I think it's the same reason that but Kobe scored 81 in his career high. It's that number of the beast thing. But they've been doing rituals with 81 and Coach K forever. So it's just so fitting that his last game, the 81-94, they lose by 13 in LA. LeBron's doing his thing. So yeah, there's definitely something going on there. I haven't been paying enough attention to basketball to solve the riddle, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, so like DeRozan specifically too, like one of the main players in which he, like a lot of NBA fans will say he emulates his game after is Kobe Bryant. Like he's got commercials with and he's like one of the main players who wore Kobe's shoes throughout his whole career. And they even gave LeBron the nickname LeBronto after he came back. And this was from the 2016 season when they played Toronto. And that's the last time DeRozan was even really relevant before he got traded to the Spurs. So now that he's in Chicago, that D Rose, obviously D Rose was the last MVP in Chicago. Now we got another MVP contention with DeMar DeRozan, shining through. So I really do think that that could be something to look out for. So I don't know. That's all I really got.
Well, they're great observations. I hear all the thoughts, so we'll continue to follow it. And with regards to just North Carolina and the Kobe Jordan thing, again, Kobe was drafted by Charlotte, so he came through North Carolina to the NBA. 13th pick, 13-point game yesterday. So, yeah. All right.
And not to mention, too, last thing before I go, the Bel Air little show, I don't really know too much about it. I haven't even seen it. But I do know that it's being produced by Westbrook Productions, which is the, like, I guess, production studio that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett both own. So Westbrook Productions, Westbrook being traded to the Lakers this season, Bel Air being in California. I don't know. Those are all things I've been pointing out, too.
All right. All right. Appreciate it, man. Good thoughts.
All right.
All right. Take care. Yeah, it's funny, though. Yeah, my first post ever on Coach K is like back from 2014, but it was trying to figure out what was going on with him in 81. And I don't think I had enough information back then to figure it out, but I just knew there was something about 81 in Coach K. So how fitting in the last game, 81 points. Again, post from like 8 years ago. 646.
Hi. Hey, Fact, since we're talking about the Lakers and the Bulls possibly being in the NBA finals.
Well, that was the caller. The caller just called in and said that. I mean, it was kind of making sense, but I haven't done enough work to have any confirmation on what I think the finals is right now. But okay, go ahead.
I would like to add a few more things to that theory. The Chicago Bulls, as you know, they're in the 56th season of playing. And also their head coach, Billy Donovan, is 56 years old.
Right, and one of the things we pointed out, we covered this, Jordan's birthday this year was 263 days after Billy Donovan's birthday, the 56th prime. So we said, what are the odds of that? All that 56 on Jordan's birthday? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and also what else? I forgot. With the last time that these teams played each other in the NBA Finals was in the year 1991. That was the last time, and these teams have met each other 5 times in the NBA Finals, and also the reason why that's interesting, because if they meet again, it will be their 6th time, and LeBron, he currently wears the number 6, if you know him.
Right.
And the season, the 1990 and the 1991 season, in the 91 NBA Finals, during the 1990 season, LeBron James was actually 6 years old.
Okay.
He was, and what else? And also, they have another huge connection, the Lakers and the Bulls. One of them is the coach, Phil Jackson. He actually won. He won championships for both of them teams. People are forgetting that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Lakers and Bulls, the Zen master. Right.
And
how old's he right now? Did you say how old he is right now, Phil Jackson? I gotta look him up real quick. How old's Phil Jackson right now?
76. He's 76 years old. That's one more thing. And also, considering this is the year of the Tiger, and other things that I was forgetting about is that Michael Jordan is currently 59 years old, and his first NBA final that he won was against the Los Angeles Lakers in the year 91 against Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, born in the year 59. Michael Jordan is currently 59 years old. Tiger equals 59. Phil Jackson, the coaches that won the championships for both teams, is currently 76 years old.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
And also if these teams meet one more time in the NBA Finals, it will be their 6th time. And LeBron James, he wears number 6, and the season the 1990. In the 1991 season that produced the 91 NBA Finals, LeBron James, he turned. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. I'm so nervous. He was actually 6 years old, and And I think that's the significance of him wearing the number 6.
That could be. That's a great observation. So.
And also 1991 was the year the Soviet Union collapsed. It was the year of the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Oh yeah, that was the year the Bulls started their 3-peat.
Yeah, that was the year in their 3-peat and 3 = 56.
You know how many games? You know how many games the Bulls won in 91?
How many?
Oh wait, hold on. I'm tripping. I was on the wrong year. I was on 2001. Hold on. In 91, they were 67-15. Phil Jackson was drafted into the NBA in 67, and he was drafted by a 67 team, the Knicks. Knicks equals 67. So that's probably a tribute to his days back on the Knicks.
And a tribute to his days back on the Knicks, and also from the day LeBron James scored his 56 points today to Game 7 of the NBA Finals is 89 days. I thought King James equals 89.
Right. Yeah.
30. Yeah, I think it's probably the Lakers and Bulls, just because of Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan being 59 years old, and yeah, it all connects. And also, 1991 was the year the Soviet Union collapsed, and look at all these stuff between Russia and the West.
Yeah, it's true. We should look back at that year 91 in sports, because that could be a big clue. So that's a good thought.
Yeah, that could be a good thought. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, my man. Take care and have a nice day.
All right, yeah, have a good one. Take care. Could you guys tell he was nervous until he said he was nervous? I couldn't tell he was nervous. If you guys don't tell us you're nervous, nobody will probably even notice you're nervous. So, he's got the same birthday as Patrick Mahomes. Game 7 will be 275 days after Phil Jackson's birthday. I just know that when they did the Ben Simmons trade, 275 was a huge part of the ritual. Let's see. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I want to talk about the string pie. Have you looked a lot into? I mean, we see all these different correlations to the string of pie. Been talking about it recently. Have you looked into that much?
I need to find a good website to do that, but that is something I need to study a lot more. I know that that's helpful. So,
well, it's just crazy how things are synced up. So, I've been saying a lot about the 244 lately, and you've probably read some of my comments, but. So,
hold on. Before we even get into this, I just got to show people something that's crazy about Cooper Cup and 244. Did you see that nuclear plant that's called Cooper?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, you guys, Cooper Cup's full name equals 244. Cooper Douglas Cup is 244. He won the MVP on the 244th day of his age in Super Bowl 56. On the 56th day of the year, all these headlines started talking about nuclear scares. There's something in nuclear terminology called the nuclear Cooper pair. And what's even more wild is there's a Cooper nuclear station on the Missouri River, like the Rams used to be in Missouri. And Cooper nuclear station equals 244, just like Cooper Douglas Cup. And again, 244 is the atomic weight of plutonium, which is the thing in nuclear bombs.
Yep.
So it's like, what are the odds of all these things? And just how obvious the whole Russia-Ukraine thing is synced up with the Super Bowl. And again, I mean, it should be obvious to everybody that Cooper Cup is a scripted sports star. There's no way a little white boy is burning everybody on the NFL field. There's just no way. The guy's wide open, wins the game with 85 seconds left in the 85th NFL season for the Rams. I mean, it's a joke. But keep in mind, he's from the Hanford area where the original nuclear energy development began. He lives in the same town I live in right now, or he's from Yakima. We're right next to the Hanford site where nuclear energy development began. And that's part of the reason they would choose such a guy. Keep in mind, Yakima equals 102, just like Chernobyl equals 102, and this was the 102nd NFL season. That's why Biden saved his State of the Union, where he began with Ukraine for his 102nd day of his age, and it went an hour and 2 minutes, and the whole thing in Ukraine popped off 102 days after the Superior General's birthday. Again, it's all right here from the old Jesuit text, Art of War. But anyway, go on with what you're saying about 244.
So I'm going to try to put this in a little summarized nutshell just to make it as simple as possible for people. But 19 equals 244 in the Jewish cipher. So think COVID-19.
19 equals 244 in Jewish. Let's make sure I heard it right. 19 equals 244 in Jewish gematria.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. 19 is in COVID-19 equals 244 in the Jewish cipher. So 19 equals 244 in Jewish. At the 244th decimal digit of pi, you have the 201, as in event 201. At the 2,440th position, you have the beginning of the 666. So everything with that agenda, we know almost everything tied back into the 666. So pi literally ties in with, and I've talked to you before about the book of Daniel, and Daniel 2:43 talks about, it's basically talking about in the days when they mixed man and machine. And then in 2:44, Daniel 2:44, it says, in those days, the God of heaven will establish his kingdom on earth and destroy all other kingdoms. 244 spelled out equals 2022 in the Jewish cipher.
Like the year we're in, okay.
Exactly. So pi is connecting in with the book of Daniel, that Daniel prophecy. Now the big question is, who is the quote unquote God of heaven? That's the big question there. Because that word, you know, the word God, they don't even really, it goes back like 450 years. And it was derived from Europe somewhere. But that's as far back as that word even goes.
Again, I got to read Daniel 2:44 with it on the screen again, so this absorbs into people's mind. Think about what we're talking about, the whole transition from queen to king, all this stuff. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Talk about New World Order, too, so...
Yeah, and the Septuagint always reads a little different. I normally go back to the Septuagint because it was the original. I mean, as far back as, you know, you can go, and all the King James stuff and later got really mixed around and changed up a lot in places. But hold on.
I want to make sure you're giving me a lot of good information. I'm just trying to keep it all straight. What is it that you said when you write out it equals 2022? What is it?
So as in Daniel 2:44, so like if you wrote that out in alpha, you would write it out as 244, and that equals 2022 Jewish. 2022 Jewish.
244. Okay, spelling it out that way. I wrote out 244, but I see 244. Okay, that's kind of fair. I mean, it is interesting. So, okay.
That's exactly how you would say, how you would say Daniel 244. You wouldn't say 200.
That is true. That is true. That's true. You would say 244. Okay, I think it's fair.
Yeah. So, and then, that game ball that had the 337 on it, that was huge. You had that in that AFC Championship game, and you were talking about that.
And then Stafford had 337 passing yards that day, too, so it showed up in the AFC and NFC game. 68th prime.
But that equates to resurrection of Jesus Christ in English Ordinal. Resurrection of Jesus Christ equals 337.
Well, and it makes sense, because Helios is 68, and I'm pretty sure Jesus is the Son.
Hell on earth in the Sumerian cipher. I think it was the Sumerian, but no, it was in the Jewish. Hell on earth equals 337 in the Jewish cipher.
Okay.
So that Jewish cipher is key to this stuff. I mean, the Jewish and the Sumerian ciphers are popping up, big time. I mean, those are the two primary ciphers that I see.
Earlier in the stream, what I was saying in the stream about all this 34 showing up in 22, all these 34 rituals, again, the Rams quarterback being 34, becoming the 34th quarterback to win the Super Bowl, suicide 34, Ukraine 34. The word Jesus is 34, and Jesus' return is at the end of the age, which is where we are in Pisces, and all this is happening in Pisces. And again, Revelation has 22 chapters in it. So maybe the ultimate 34 thing is Jesus.
That 213 thing, how the 213 was all around you before the Super Bowl?
Uh-huh.
You had the call with Logan and all that stuff, and there was some organic stuff there that you could see. That 213, when you write out 213 in alpha, it equals 888 Sumerian, and that's exactly what Morning Star equals, which is what Isaiah 14 said was Morning Star, which if you look into Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, it's deep in there. It's like in the middle of the book, but they reference Jupiter as Morning Star.
Okay, here I gotta add in one more thing. I appreciate all that. That's all interesting, but just sticking on the 244 thing. Again, the Illuminati was established on the day, leaving 244 days left in the year as well, and we know it's the Jesuit cabal behind all this. And again, this verse is about building the one nation. So,
well, let's go back to that 244 thing again. And I've been telling you, I've talked to you about this too. But so speaking of the Order of Illuminati, 244 year anniversary is of May 1st last year. The United States 244th year anniversary on July 4th.
Well, it wasn't. It was 2 years ago. It was 2020, right? 2020 was the 244th
no,
birthday.
2021 was the end of the 244th year. I'm sorry. I think that was at
the last day of April would have been May 1st would have been the 245th birthday.
We completed the 244th year of the U.S. being a nation on July 4th last year.
But it doesn't matter that it happened in 2020 because we talked about that. That was right near the start of the whole pandemic and all this stuff going on, the 244th birthday. I know we talked about that then. So.
Yeah, but I mean the completion of the actual 244th year was in 2021. It was July 4th. And then same with the Illuminati. And then, we had that whole Afghanistan thing, Kabul, Afghanistan. It had the 244 in it as well. I mean, it's the same time frame. So all of this stuff is linked up.
Of course.
And being linked up with pi is what really blows my mind. And that's like, how in the world is this going on like that?
Okay. I went to this website, the pi search page. And when I go search for 244, what it comes up with is it says the string 244 occurs at position 510. Is that what you said at the beginning?
No. So if you type in 201, it's going to be at the 244th position.
All right, 201. Yep, 201 occurs at position 244. Well, I was going to say the thing about 244 occurring at the position 510 isn't that a lot like May 1st, the day the Illuminati was established?
51, well, 51, May 1st, yeah, absolutely. And then if you type in 666, that's at the 2,440th position.
Yeah, I see that, 2440. Okay.
So that pi, I mean, it really ties into that string of pi. Really
does. You know what's funny? When I first started my research and I was trying to figure out the meaning of numbers, I actually went down this path and saw so many things. I don't know how I ever got away from looking at this, but I do think a lot of the secrets are in this string of pi. Again, gematria means geometry and language. That's why I started looking here, because I was like, when you think geometry, you think pi, and they do so much with the numbers of pi, so interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that most of your research, I think you've been a channel. I really do. I think a lot of this stuff, I mean, that 213, and that Logan thing, I mean, that wasn't a coincidence that he found that about, the 213 page and you talking about that and everything. So, I mean, a lot of the stuff you've been doing, I mean, you've been doing it for a higher purpose for sure. But, it's all, I mean, the stuff it's interesting, but at the same time, you want the final answer, right? Like, what is really going on? I think that's what everybody's looking for. Like,
well, what do you think right now? Do you think this is organic that's playing out, or do you feel like it's being contrived and manipulated?
Well, and see, that's the question that we always go to. I mean, I wouldn't want to think that the creator, I think that there's two different forces, and I really do, because I wouldn't want to think there's one creator at the top just laughing about all of it, and then setting these, like setting all this evil stuff in motion. I mean, I really think, if you look at Isaiah 14, it talks about Morningstar being an evil seed. And it was, and like I said, Morningstar, according to Albert Pike, was Jupiter. And I've told you this before, but Dionysus, the son of Jupiter Zeus, became known as Jesus in the New Testament. So, it's like there's been an evil force that's infiltrated to run humanity. And I think that the creator, the actual creator, the prime creator is good, but can I prove that? No. But I mean, we can see that this stuff is, and if you go back and read the book of Maccabees, I've talked to you about that. That's that transition period when they were bringing in Zeus worship, and they were doing all kinds of nasty stuff. And that's when they brought in a lot of this. That's where most of the sports came from. And the original name of the Seleucid Empire, which is who the Maccabees were fighting back then, the original name of the Seleucid Empire, which is now known as the Greco-Roman Empire, that original name was Hellas, Hellas. So when you talk about hell, that's the original hell on earth, And there's a reason that the Catholics left the books of Maccabees out of the Holy Bible. And I've told you also that the word holy is derived from holly, which is a symbol of Dionysus. which is the energy or force behind Hollywood. That's why they've never put out a movie to dispel the Jesus story, because it's easy to break that story up. It's full of holes. And all they've done is put out movies promoting Christianity. And it's crazy because all these Christians talk about how evil Hollywood is, but yet they don't make the connection that Hollywood is promoting the Jesus story. Right. That's all they do.
Well, and it makes sense because it's clearly the Jesuits who are behind Hollywood. So, I mean, isn't there a lot of evidence, though? Isn't there a lot of evidence that this is being manipulated? Like, does anything about coronavirus seem like it's the work of God to you?
Well, that's the whole thing. When we say God, what does it? I don't even like to use that term because I know it's not that old, but it's like
the Creator. Does any of this seem like it's coming from the Creator? Does it seem like it's coming from a manipulative gang of people?
It's coming from an evil source. Absolutely. You know.
So, again, to me, it all goes back to the quote. To me, it all goes back to the quote. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. If the Anthony Fauci's and Bill Gates' of the world, or if we want to use the terms of Jesus and Satan and just put this in the terms of Jesus good, evil Satan, if these people are being ruled by Satan, then, and the good forces are being ruled by Jesus, and again, I don't like to put in this terminology, I like good and evil, but just whatever, however you look at it, again, it's obvious that the Jesus people, to me, it's not like they're not doing their part. They're not working hard enough to have influence in the world. The satanic type is working very hard to have their influence in the world. And the Jesus people, they think because they have this book and it says all you can do is wait for Jesus to come save us all, that's where their minds are at. So to me, it's like the people who want to be good, the people, hold on, let me finish. The people who want to be good and believe in the right thing, to me, it's like they've been taken by essentially the evil force and they've been tricked, and they think that their thing is waiting to be saved instead of like being good and fighting evil.
But you've already proven that the 666 agenda wouldn't have even existed without the Society of Jesus. You've proven that point blank. None of this stuff would have existed without the Society of Jesus. And that's another thing that's interesting is we're also in that 500-year, that anniversary year of Ignatius of Loyola.
Right.
All of this stuff is lining up for this specific year. I mean, it's all lining up for right now. That's what's crazy about it. There's so many different signs that line up for this specific year. The 222 thing being all over the WEF. And I mean, as far as the physical realm goes, it looks like the World Economic Forum is sitting at the top right now.
Well, probably right below the Vatican, but yeah, it does look like it's the next thing. I'd say the Vatican's at the top, and then it looks like the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, I mean, that's the physical realm that we can actually see. I mean, they're tapping into other stuff. They've got technology we don't know about, you know what I mean? And they're able to do things through this technology. I mean, we can see plain as day that they're using, cloud seeding and whatever else to manipulate the weather on a daily basis now in the U.S. I mean, it's almost all controlled that way.
Yeah.
I don't think that the actual prime creator would need to use that kind of stuff. Do you?
Exactly. That's why I say it seems obvious to me that all this is being manipulated. I mean, they invented all this technology to control people's minds. I mean, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we're in the year. 2022. This is going to be we already know it's going to be eventful, but I mean, for the fact that the book of Daniel was written, whatever it was, 1000 BCE or something like that. And, here we are 3,000 years later and all this stuff is lining up with that Daniel 2:44. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all the thoughts. I'm going to let a few more people get in before I get off here, but thank you. Great work as always.
Hey, appreciate it, Zach. Keep up the good work, man.
Indeed. Take care.
Yep.
302.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, Zach? I'm calling because I want to speak on the whole, Jesus aspect of things. I hear I'm in your chat a lot, and I hear the way that y'all talk about God and just write them off and think that the whole connection of with everything is just a cloud of smoke, and how they just put things in perspective and try to relate it all to God. But I'm just here to call to say that Jesus is real. I mean, if you look at how Hollywood is blaspheming God all the time, make a mockery of it.
That's not true, though. That's not true, though.
It is true.
How's it true? Okay, defend your stance. I can tell you how it's not true. I can tell you all the movies Hollywood's put out in the post 9/11 era to make Islam look really bad and Christians look good. I mean, there's been a lot of movies like that. But okay, go ahead. How's it make Christianity look bad?
I mean, I get it though. You know, they can't make it seem one-sided too much. You know what I mean? Just go ahead. Go ahead and just lay out not all this, but just lay out your case. How does Hollywood make Jesus look bad? How's that happen? I mean, just by the symbolisms in movies, video games, TV shows, you know, their agenda behind everything, making homosexuality more acceptable, transgenderism more acceptable. You look at games like
so I hear this argument going against biblical themes and teaching the opposite through popular culture. But I mean, can you is there? I get that, but is there a movie you can think of where they really attack and make Christianity look bad?
Not necessarily directly, but if you look at the Avengers, I think it's the very first. No, it's the second Avengers. Excuse me, the second Avengers, Endgame, if I'm not mistaken, where Doctor Strange asked, "What master do you serve?" And he was like, "What do you want me to say, Jesus?" You know, certain things like that make a mockery of the name of Jesus and what he stands for. I get it, though. You know, Gematria.
Have you ever thought about this, though? Again, have you thought about that maybe the name Jesus is a mockery in itself?
But it's possible. That's why there's a new...
Doesn't it seem like it is? Where does it come from? It comes from the Greeks. Who's the Greek god? Zeus. Jesus.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, though. You know, the English was not the original language. What was the original language? It was Aramaic, and then it went to Hebrew. So,
well, hold on. It was Hebrew, and so the Old Testament's written in Hebrew mostly, and some Aramaic. Hebrew's older than Aramaic, and then the New Testament's written in Greek originally.
But what I'm saying is, though, who's to say that the new English or the new language English wasn't put in place so that way the numbers and connections can lead to the blaspheme and the disregard of Jesus? That's what I'm saying. You know,
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like you have the same questions everybody should have who's honest. It's like, how do we even know this is the right name to be worshiping? How do we know this name wasn't given to us as a trick? That's why I feel like people just need to simplify things. People just need to be more honest about things and say, listen, we all know what good and evil is unless we're born a sociopath. And I'm not sure that anybody really is born a sociopath. Some children become sociopaths because of their environment, because they have evil around them. But it's like most people, almost everybody knows what's right and what's wrong. It's just inherent. It was given to us as a God-given gift, if you will, or a gift from the Creator. And it's like people are just fighting over all this stuff that's been put in our heads since we were little that none of us can even really verify. We have to choose to believe, the word with lie in the middle. And again, it's just like you just said, okay, you just said, you know, they promote homosexuality. Well... I'm not convinced that, like, there's people get mad at me and say, Zach, no one was ever born a homosexual. And I don't think that that's true. I think some people are born homosexual, and if that's part of the Creator's plan, if that's population control, or just some people are supposed to be that way, just to have cultural diversity, it's obvious that right now media is influencing people to be gay. I mean, they're making all this big deal about Pride Month, how cool it is to be gay, how cool it is to be transgender. All of this does fly in the face of the Bible, but again... So it's like for years they programmed society to think these things were wrong and bad, and that's why people stayed in the closet and they didn't talk about it, or they might get beat up by their father or whatnot. And now things have changed. Now the new culture, now it's really promoted and it's acceptable, and then that causes the clash of past, you know, upbringings and cultures. It's like they're constantly just messing with society. First we taught you to be this way, now we're teaching you to be this way, the exact opposite. For 100 years, we taught in the media that, well, they still do it, actually. I mean, but it's a really conflicting message in the media right now. For years, they've programmed people to believe that black people are bad and inferior and dangerous and a threat to society. And the nightly news did this every night in a million different ways, and in a way, they still do it. But now there's also this other message from the news that, you know, Black Lives Matter, and, you know, if something bad happens to a black person, it's okay to burn down the whole town, and which is also a fucked up message. But it's like they're just trying to make people take sides and be divided. And at the end of the day, it's like, maybe we shouldn't be, maybe they got us fighting over things we don't even need to really be fighting over. Like, if somebody wants to be gay, I mean, is that really the thing to be losing our shit over? I can't tell you how many times in the last 20 years I've been out at some community gathering that's about something that's righteous, and there's a group of 5 people there with signs that says, God hates fags. And I'll always go up to those people and I'll say, this gathering's about the war and the unnecessary war, the way bankers are screwing us over right now. Why do you feel the need to show up here with your God hates fag signs? And they say, well, ultimately, because what's the root of all these problems is the fags. And it's like, you really believe that? And they're like, I do. And I'm just like, okay.
Those type of people are people who are like, are how can I put it? They lack understanding. They not as scripturally, they're not embedded into the Bible, and neither am I. I'll say that, but I do recognize what is truth and what is false. And as far as like what you just said when you started it all, the reason that people lose lack of the reason people are like misguided in general is because they lack the understanding to be to have their own how can I put it? That they lack understanding. The media has manipulated us over the years that we can't even think for ourselves. You know what I mean? So, like, just like you just said, they paint the picture of black people being bad, but in reality, we all do the same shit. So how can you just disregard one race when, everybody does one thing or everybody does the same thing? And and I'm black and white, just to put that, in perspective. And I have arguments all the time with my black and white friends, and they paint white people out as being like bad themselves, or just being a lesser person or less human than black people because of what black people have been through. And that's not the case, because I know a bunch of white people. Even my mother has been, has grew up in a rough environment. You know what I mean? So what the same shit black people go through, the same shit white people go through, the same shit Mexican people go through. So like, and to get back to the Jesus aspect, it's the reason why they took the Bible out of schools and they don't preach it the way that they do. And I can go on a whole nother spiel of how, like, the Quran, it copies from the Bible, and how they just manipulate it over time. And I'll end it here. You know what I mean? I would just say this: if the devil has so many years to manipulate humanity, then his schemes and his methods of confusing and lying to humanity, it's only going to get better and better and better. So if we speed up to when he was first in the garden till now, he's had so much time to come up with so many tricks and methods to just brainwash everybody. But what I'm saying is, you either believe in God or you don't. And if you believe in God, then you need to figure out what God it is and which one is true.
Why? Wait, why though? Why do you need to do that?
You said why? Say it again.
See, well, I'm not sure that that's actually the case. I mean, I think people, what they should realize is like, okay, there's a reason that we're here. And if you want to believe the Big Bang, you think about that for a minute, but does that really make sense that we all came out of a spark? Doesn't it seem like there's something divine about this world and spiritual? Isn't there signs everywhere that there's something more going on than just like what's in the physical world? And I think if anybody thinks about these things, it'll happen in their life where they're like, well, wait a minute, maybe... Because, I mean, you have to see that. I mean, we're all raised in state school and slave school, and slave school kind of tries to kill the spiritual element and make it seem like it's old world superstition, and now we're in the world of science and education, and we're solving all the mysteries that used to be credited to religion. That they kind of make it a this or that. That's like what they do with everything. But again, I'm not sure that this thing about finding the right God, like, is that even something you can do? Because I've had so many people reach out to me and say, Zach, I actually talk to God and have conversations with God. And it's like, well, I don't know anybody that's really... like when I hear that, I mean, maybe it's possible. I think it's possible, but I think these people are kind of delusional, or maybe they think the thought in their head, their subconscious is God, which maybe in a way it is. Maybe that's kind of what our subconscious is from the Creator, like the thing that's reminding us what's right and wrong from our life experience. But the people who make claims, it's like, yeah, I grew up in the church. I prayed all the time as a child. I never had Jesus or God just show up and talk to me and answer the thing. I mean, that just never happened. But, I mean, I do feel like there's signs in the world that you get from the Creator that show you if you're on the right path or the wrong path. And like, to me, that's the way God communicates. Not like you actually heard his voice, but it's like, wow, what are the odds that that just happened in my life right after I had this experience, or I had this thought, or I was thinking about doing this, and then boom, that happened. It's like, oh, okay, that's like God showed me right there that no, I definitely shouldn't do that. That's to me, that's the way the creator communicates. But this whole thing of like answering questions that can't be answered, like you just said, we got to find out what the right God is. That's what people are fighting over. My God's the right God. It's like, can't we just all accept that we obviously all came from the same thing, the same place, and maybe it is that we're not ever to know exactly what that is. Like, there's supposed to be a mystery and element and a truth-seeking part of life where you're trying to get as many answers as possible, but maybe nothing is entirely meant to be answered all the way.
Right. Well, there's ways. Well, when I say that you need to find the right God, I don't necessarily mean that in the fact of you just like, oh, I'm gonna go over here and choose this one, and we'll see, and just go in blind faith. Before I came into the faith, man, like I was exactly on the same page as you, like, or just more so looking at and recognizing the wickedness in the world. And then I slowly and surely started to, like, look at all the connections and, like, hey, well, damn, you know what? Like, a lot of signs is pointing to the devil and, and everything's amongst that. So, if, who's the other side of the devil, And then it became Jesus. And I started looking more into that. And then it became more into other religions and those apostles, or not apostles, excuse me, I watch videos of people debate from other religions, and I got a brief understanding of why this religion isn't the religion that I need to be focused on, and not necessarily any religion at all, because God doesn't dwell in man-made temples, and it never said in the Bible that you need to cling to Christianity. It just says be a Christian, be a follower. Christian means you're a follower of Christ, but if you just make the connections with all the things, man, it's clear that, they hate Jesus, more than anything in the world. That's why they do so much to go against them. And as far as making the connection of, the consciousness, it's even in the Bible that it says that the laws of God were written in the hearts of men. I don't know what scripture that is, but that's where we get everything from, but I just wanted to say that, man. I don't want to hold you up, and I don't want to, try to feed it in your head. But, I just wanted to call on here because I hear it a lot. And I'll say this, too, before I go, man. My first time hearing your videos was, like, maybe back in, like, 2015. Hold on. Sorry about that. That's a lot of traffic going through. But my first time seeing your videos, man, was when you did the Isaiah Thomas, the one that used to play for the Celtics, the short one.
When his sister died.
He sacrificed. Yeah, when he sacrificed his sister, and then, like, the cop name was the same, the street name was the same as her last name, and all of that. So, I'm Buddha blessed, yo. You had made a comment to me yesterday, and I just want to let you know I ain't no troll, yo. Like, I definitely recognize.
I don't think you're a troll. I don't think you're a troll. I just heard a lot of the arguments that people make that I'm not sure are exactly right, because I don't really believe that Hollywood tries to make Christianity look bad, especially not compared to religions like Islam, but I think it does do things to keep people divided and pushes things that, are against biblical teaching. But in the past, like, old Hollywood was not about that. It's the more modern Hollywood. And again, I think that's the thing about just keeping people always divided and on different pages. It's obvious they do things to make a generation different than the generation that came before them. This is all part of the way that they mess with society. I mean, society's changed so much in the time that I've been on this earth, which isn't that long. I mean, when I was a child, everyone was outside playing. It wasn't all about safety. It was like skinned knees, bumped heads. That was just part of life. That was part of growing up and being tough and making sure you don't make... Now children aren't even allowed to go outside and skin their knee or bump their head or fall off the pogo stick. All that's too dangerous. And then you see how soft society gets. Everyone's afraid of everything now. And now everyone's a germaphobe and just everything's so damn scary. There's terrorists and school shooters everywhere, so we might as well just give up all of our rights and liberties and just stay inside and watch Netflix. I mean, that it's just... Anyway, I appreciate the call. I got to get off, though, man. I've been on here too long, but I do appreciate the call and the thoughts. So you have a good one, and I look forward to the next one. All right, take care.
Yep.
Here, I'm going to wrap it up right here, you guys. I don't understand why, like, I appreciate the caller a minute ago with all of his stuff about pi and everything, and he's a great researcher. But I just don't know why so many people are coming out and saying they're having a hard time understanding that we're being mocked and manipulated. Look at this stuff from just the other day. On the 54th day of the year, the FDA approves 54 different sizes of anal condoms, okay? 54 is a big number with the Jesuits, as I talk about all the time. Kobe Bean Bryant, 54, dead while traveling from Catholic Church, who's known for raping little boys. Dead before Super Bowl 54. And the person who's the spokesperson for this 54 brands of condoms on the 54th day of the year, they get a woman named Dr. Courtney Lias. That word that's right in the middle of believe. But Courtney Lias, look how it's like Jesuit order, forwards and backwards. And again, ages 18 to 54, those are the Sun Jesuit numbers. Their logo's the sun. They serve the Catholic Church, which is known for the sodomy gang. Sodomy comes from the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible. They said 252 men participated in the experiment to create the 54 different sizes of condoms. So in those 252 men, they had, every size of condom covered. Little baby button dick to, again, the biggest thing you can think of, the biggest whale in the sea. But, as soon as I read this, the first thing I typed out was Sodom and Gomorrah, because I was like, I bet this number is a tribute to Sodom and Gomorrah, and then boom, there it is right there. Sodom and Gomorrah, 252. I mean, really? And again, what's the Jesuit logo upside down? It's shit. Where they sticking their shit? Where the sun don't shine. And why are they doing this? Why are so many Catholic priests raping children? I mean, isn't it self-explanatory if you think about it? It's like everybody has a sexual impulse. That's part of being a human being. And most of us get it when we're pretty young. When we're an age that in our society, we're not supposed to be having sex, right? You're not supposed to be having sex when you're 12, 13, 14 in society, right? That's the belief or the cultural expectation. You shouldn't be having sex when you're that age. And most of us aren't, right? And I'd say for most people, it seems like they start having sex probably around 15. Some people wait a lot longer. And even at 15, you're not supposed to be having sex. But from when I grew up, my experience, the people around me, it was mostly around 15. Some of the girls that got pregnant in middle school did get pregnant at 13 years old. I mean, it does happen. But anyway, the God-given anatomy, though, I mean, as a boy, you start having an erection when you wake up in the morning? Right around age 12, right? About age 12. And notice the story of Jesus. The story of Jesus disappears when he's age 12. You don't hear about Jesus from age 12 to 30. What was Jesus doing out at age 12, 30? Well, that was all censored. That's in the XXX pornographic chapters you don't know about, right? That's kind of the way I interpret it. Why didn't you hear about Jesus from age 12 to 30? Was Jesus out, getting it in with all the ladies, racking up the number? You don't hear about Jesus in his sexual maturity years. And to be honest, I mean, for me, by the time I got 30, I realized, okay, it's time to mature. It's time to stop, just going after every girl. And I've been with Sweet Lady, since the end of my 20s. But it was right around the same age. And, I stopped chasing all, as so many guys do. And so many guys do it well beyond that age. But the thing is, again, why are priests raping little children? Because they're not allowed to have sex. They're not supposed to be having sex and doing what their God-given body is telling them to do. Go out and have sex, procreate, right? That's kind of our purpose. And a lot of us aren't having children because of how messed up the world is. If I'd started having children when I first started having sex, they'd be like in their 20s. They'd be I could have a baseball team of 20-year-olds right now. 20-some-year-old. They'd be like 23. But anyway, all of this stuff, that's why the Bible's not all good and bad. It's teaching people stuff that doesn't make sense, that actually goes against creation. And who's the one who decided that the age in most states, like where you're a legal adult to have sex, is 18? Who do you think did it? Again, the Jesuits are Catholic and Jewish. And Judaism, where numbers are super important, 18 represents the meaning of life. They say we're an adult when we turn 18. Who decided on that? I guarantee you this numerologist gang decided on that. There's 12-year-olds in this world that are more mature than 50-year-olds. They're more like adults than a 50-year-old, but they're not technically an adult. So, but yeah, I mean, just look at it, you guys. 18 to 54, 54th day of the year, 54 condom sizes. You know what I mean? You don't think it's the Jesuits that are using the Bible to mock us, from the sports game to the latest FDA approval to what the latest supposed viral pandemic scare is? All this shit is biblical. It's all synced up, the news and the sports. I've been saying the same thing the whole time. I didn't know. You don't even need Gematria to see this. I mean, again, if you can be like, wow, the Rams colors look just like Ukraine's, and the Rams coach is his fiance's from Ukraine, what are the odds of this? 9/11 Patriot Act Patriots. Again, I didn't know Gematria, but I was like, this is some obvious bullshit. Tom Brady just fumbled the ball. The Raiders just won the game. You're going to say that he didn't fumble the ball? You're just going to pull some rule out of your ass and say he didn't fumble? We all just saw with our own eyes he fumbled the ball. Tuck rule. We never heard of it before. Tuck rule. Oh, okay, he didn't fumble. I guess the Patriots in the Patriot Act time just got to be the greatest team there ever was. You're not sure that this is the work of man? I'm pretty sure it was man on the field in the black and white shirts every fucking week that are calling the most bullshit penalties in the history of the world. How did the Rams just win the Super Bowl? No flags all game. No flags all game until the end when the Rams need to set up the touchdown with 85 seconds left. And it's not to say that they couldn't have scored the touchdown without the penalties. Stafford had his receiver, I think number 12, wide open in the back of the end zone. Overthrows him like the worst pass in the history of the world. How are you in the NFL if you can't hit your wide open receiver to win the game? I mean, he's not that bad of a quarterback. Stafford knows how to throw the ball. They had to set it up to Cooper Kupp with 85 seconds left. That's why they had to milk the clock more and then throw some penalties and get a new set of downs. They had to whittle the clock down to 85 seconds in the 85th season after giving Brady his 85th loss while the Pope's 85. Then next week on Roger Penske's 85th birthday, Team Penske's winning the Daytona 500 where they did 201 laps this year. I mean, the stuff about being like, well, I'm actually not sure if it's man because there could be an evil force behind the man. All this shit needs to stop. Yeah, there's a fucking evil force behind the men. Are you an evil person? Because if you are, you're sitting by not doing shit about it. If you're a good person, you're going, you know what? I'm going to fight the good fight. And it's not like, well, I need to wait till Jesus comes down here and then gives me a shove in the back and tells me it's okay to go out there and do something about it. I mean, bullshit. You think the evil people of the world, Fauci and Klaus Schwab and all these scumbags, you think they're like at the dinner table right now with Satan? And for the person out there saying, you know, the biggest trick Satan ever pulled was to convince the world he didn't exist, again, essentially what that phrase is saying is to convince people that evil doesn't exist. And you got people that don't think evil's a real thing. They're like, well, that's subjective. Some people think this is good. Some people think that's bad. That's bullshit. There's things in this world that are good and bad. It's not an opinion. That's what the topic of natural law is about. There's things that are good and there's things that are bad. And bad people are deceptive people. Like there's a dumbass in the world who's a hating troll who's never accomplished anything in his life, who wants to go back through my 10,000 videos because he watches every single one, and anytime he sees something like, ooh, I can use this against Zach, he saves that in his collection. And like, for example, right now he's uploading like videos of where I said things 6 years ago that I shouldn't have said that I've already apologized for and trying to bring it out to new content to make me look bad. Zach's a racist because he said this 6 years ago. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that, but do you know the backstory of what got me to say that? Do you know how much trolling and racism I was dealing with before I finally said something that I shouldn't have said? But I already apologized and talked for that 6 years ago to bring it now back up and having people like, oh man, I don't know if I like Zach anymore that he said that. See, that shit is evil. What I said there in the moment, you could say was evil. I responded to evil with evil, but I apologized for that a long time ago, and I haven't done that since. To bring it up now, that just makes you the sorry-ass scumbag that you are. To cover the things that I'm wrong about and skip all the things that I'm right about, that makes you a deceptive, evil, sorry-ass motherfucker. And then to call me evil and say I'm a liar, you're the fucking liar, evil scumbag. And who's going against me at this moment in history? Who's doing more in the world to expose real evil and calling out the agendas dead on? I've been dead on about the timeline for what was coming to this world by 2020. Had everyone listened to me and taken me seriously in 2013, 14, none of this would have been achieved. Good would have won. Instead, evil's winning, and then you got evil scumbags pretending like they're good. And again, I mean, that's the thing. So good is good, evil's evil. If you stick up for truth and what's real and justice, that's good. If you're on the side of deception and lying and dishonesty and trying to manipulate things, that's evil. Evil people are always trying to pretend like they're good. They're always trying to look like they're good. That's why the most evil people, they manipulate people. They dress up in suits every day. They do their hair real nice. They try to make you think they're good by how good and sharp they look. Why do you think all the con men in the world are in suits looking their best? And again, people who are actually good and know what's good, they're not deceived by that. They know the material world isn't where good is. You know? It's just, that's the thing. Some people don't know the difference between good and bad. They don't know what's actually good. They think materialism is good. Materialism's not good. Materialism leads to nothing but bad things. You know, people are really hating on me right now because I'm somewhat successful with my Patreon. It's not nearly as successful as it should be. You know? There should be way more people pledging $1 a month to the cause I've been trying to raise funds for. You know, if there was 1 million people in the world pledging $1 a month, we'd have $1 million a month to hire, you know, how many employees could we have for $1 million a month revenue? We could have a full team of people nationwide, city to city, getting out the word about what people need to know about to stop the evil agenda. And I got people complaining about that. Oh, now Zach's asking for $1 million a month. Shut the fuck up, sorry-ass motherfucker. Whose side are you on? We already know whose side you're on. You're a sorry scumbag-ass piece of shit that's been trolling me for 8 fucking years. What kind of fucking loser trolls a man for 8 years? Get a fucking life. You're getting old and fat, and your life's about trolling the one person in the world who's probably bringing the most important knowledge there ever was to the table. And that's not an exaggeration, you know? And my guess is this guy does strap up one of these anal condoms. And my guess is that he probably jerks off at night thinking about me. That's how sad it is. Find a life, buddy. You know, before none of us have one. Trying to take down the one person who's been right on about everything? Oh, not that one game. Shut the fuck up, moron. It's not about being right about every game. My main premise about the games, about that they're rigged and scripted and biblically encoded and the Jesuits and the Masons are who run the script, that's all dead on. It's all dead on. You know, you just skipped. He wants to cover that we're wrong about the Super Bowl and make 5 videos about that when we really weren't wrong about the Super Bowl. I had people on the winning side, which was the Bengals side. Odell Beckham, 9-1 for the first touchdown, had that. Who had a better prop bet in the Gematria community? Did anyone have that prop bet? I did. You know, again, it's just, this is sorry-ass shit. You're trying to focus on what's wrong. You know? Why don't you make a video about how I said Ukraine, Russia would pop off on February 22nd? Sure did, didn't it? Did you make a video about that? Nope. Why don't you go back and show all the times that I said, you know, there'd be this incident on this day and it happened? Oh, you're not covering any of that. You're only covering what's wrong. See, this is an evil person that people think is maybe doing a good thing exposing me. You're not exposing me. You're like a politician. You're like a politician clipping things that are beneficial to you. You know, you're the same sorry-ass scumbag that uploaded a video saying I lied about picking the Rams to beat the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. How was it a lie? I opened up the stream saying or not the Cardinals, the Rams to beat the Cardinals on MNF. You made a video saying that I was a lie, that I called that. I opened the stream, clear as day, said why I like the Rams to win, the 2-1-3 thing, the Martin Luther King Jr. thing. Martin calls in, and honestly, I mean, the thing about Martin is he does good research, but almost every time he calls in, he's taking me off a good pick. He called in with something interesting. I was like, oh man, no, I don't know. But then at the end of the stream, I went back to it again. I said, I still like the Rams to win. It makes sense if Brady faces the Rams in the next round. It's always Brady and the Rams. You put up a clip of me humming and hawing after Martin's call about, man, maybe it's better to leave this game alone. And then you said I'm a liar. You're the fucking liar. You skipped the clip in the beginning where it was a clear as day call and the end where I came back to it again and said I still like the Rams. That makes you a lying scumbag. If anyone's tricked by your video, they've been tricked by a lying scumbag. And, yeah, again, you guys, you got to realize there's all sorts of snakes and vipers that hang out around me and pretend to be my friend, and then they, I promote them and I get them a platform, and then they end up going against me. There's a lot of people who've done this. What's that about? That's because ultimately these are evil people. Their ego's there, maybe they're agents. Again, if you guys think I'm a bad person, what I got to say to you is you're a moron. You're a moron. Nobody who's been here for 9 years straight, nearly every single fucking day. It's been almost 9 years now. I haven't skipped a day since I started, minus the one day I was cleaning up my house because it got sabotaged. I had to pick up everything. Computers were stolen. House was a disaster. That's the one day I didn't upload a new piece of content. There's been one day since I started that I didn't put up new content. And then again, I couldn't because I didn't have the thing to do it. My house was in shambles, and that was from doing this work. That was a fuck you for doing this work. And yeah, I mean, again, I put up with a lot of shit. I've never stopped. The work's always gotten better. And anybody who doesn't appreciate that, well, again, you're a moron. You're a moron. If you think I'm a shill misleads somebody. Let me know where I've ever misled anyone with this knowledge and information, Oh, well, that one time you weren't right about that game. Again, if you're that person, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. That's not what it's about. It's not about being right about every damn sports game. I've been majorly right on the majority of games and picks that have people way ahead in this world, okay? In terms of overall plus minus, we're way in the plus. In the last 3 years, it's definitely got a lot harder, but again, that's from sharing the knowledge. The people that run the world aren't dummies. They're not just going to keep doing the same thing when we're... I mean, if you go back to the beginning, we hit on what? 80, 90% of games every week? Everything I put out, everyone thought I was unstoppable, couldn't miss a game. That's how it was, because it was so much easier years ago when we first started. USA Today's written an article. Vice News has written an article. You don't think the authorities are taking notice of what's being achieved over here? I mean, again, it's just... The reason I have critics is because some people are very dumb. They're very low functioning, and the reason some of the critics I have is because they're plants and agents, and their job is like a politician to try and make me look bad, because essentially I'm their enemy. They're evil, getting exposed by good, so they're going to try to make the good look bad. And those people know who they are, you know? And for the drunk estrogen filled man who's put up these just bullshit videos, who's now modding trolls, realize the people that you now have in there. You have a guy who's ripped off like 50 people in this community, and I had to out him and expose him years ago, because what he was trying to do is get in contact with people in the chat, and then he was telling them he was a homeless teenager when he's not. He's a grown man who's not homeless, and he was getting people in the community to give him money because they thought he was a homeless kid. Guy's older than me and not homeless, and he was giving everybody the same line. And essentially, he's a gambling junkie, too. He was getting people to pay off his bad debts by lying to people. And now he's in the drunk, estrogen-filled man's channel talking about how bad I am. It's just like... And he's entertaining him, and it's just like... This is what happens. This is what happens. So, again, you guys, be careful who you trust. There are a lot of frauds and agents hanging around because, again, we're exposing something that evil people don't want exposed. And there's a lot of evil people online who hide behind their screen name and their avatar, and where you can't see their face and all you have is their words. And realize I'm not one of those people. And realize also a lot of bigger people on YouTube that have a platform whose face you've never seen, who claim to be about Jesus, they're the same ones who've gone after and attacked me. And look who's running the show, the Society of Jesus. Who runs the CIA? The Society of Jesus. That's why it's all set up in a Jesuit ritual synced up with the Pope. Who runs the KGB in Russia? The Jesuits. Why it's all synced up with the Pope in a Jesuit ritual. The same intelligence agencies. It's all Jesuit, you guys. It's all Society of Jesus. Almost all the biggest shills on YouTube are all about Jesus. Again, you guys, you can get mad at me because you're indoctrinated and believing in all the bullshit, but look, pay attention to what I'm showing you and tell me where I'm wrong, you know? You don't think the Jesuits control the FDA? You don't think this is a tribute to Sodom and Gomorrah? There must be something really wrong with you. That's all I got to say. Same people that control your NBA control the FDA. They control Russia, China. Again, the Jesuits have been in those nations longer than America's even existed. Think about that. And I just went to the chat. I see Kayla's thing. We need Team Gematria News. Indeed we do. Indeed we do. And if there were enough people in the world that saw that this work was worth way more than $1 a month, we would have that. And the thing is, resources are coming in, not as much as they should, but I am saving up what we have. And eventually, when there's a big enough pool of money, and I know we can employ a team of people for a significant period of time without it all getting shut down, then we'll go. I mean, the reality is now, if I tried to start an employee and have 3 or 4 employees, I got enough funds to pay them a decent salary for a year, but if funds get cut off, then what? Funds get cut off, what? We do it for a year? When I start this thing, I don't intend for it to stop, you know? I intend for Team Gematria News, or whatever we call it, to be a thing that goes on. And that takes resources, and again, there's a lot of obstacles in this day and age. So, you know, for the morons that are always speculating in the chat about how much I make, you guys don't know. Stop spreading false information. And for the idiot who's saying, well, how come things have changed? Well, when did I say that? When did I say the goals? I said that before COVID, before prices skyrocketed on things, before they locked down the world, before they made all these new rules to travel. Again, things have changed since then. This has already been addressed. That's why all these trolls just trying to start all this shit, they pay attention to everything. They actually know the answers to these questions. They just think by putting this out there, it might help build a case against me. Ask yourself, why are these people working so hard to stop the resources coming into this community? Hasn't that already happened enough? All of my ebooks were banned. I lost a huge revenue stream on the Ides of March 2019 when all of my revenue sources were cut off for doing this work. I've put up with nothing but opposition, censorship. And that's the thing, too, you guys. If I wasn't censored, we'd have the resources. Again, the most money I ever made from this research was the day after George H.W. Bush died. And why did I make so much money that day? It was probably in part because of the QAnon thing, even though I'm not part of QAnon, but QAnon really got into my work on why Bush would die by the end of November, and I did predict the day that McCain would die, and McCain died on that day, you know. It wasn't the hardest prediction. He was real sick in the headlines, and I said it would make a lot of sense if he dies tomorrow, and then he did. So, I mean, it wasn't like the greatest Nostradamus prediction in the world. It was just based on what they coded the day before his death. But that video got viral, and then I said how it was connected with Bush, and I said, watch, Bush won't live past November. Bush will die. And I gave out 3 different dates, but I said, you know, the last day of November could be one of the days. That's the day Paul Walker died, who was in the Skulls About Skull and Bones. But here's the thing. Bush died. The video I did on Bush's death, which was on a Friday night, that video got over 1 million views, and it got those views within like a 30-hour time frame. The last time I had any success online at selling my ebook was in that period. And I made a huge chunk, like to date, both of my ebooks, both ebooks and physical book. Those 2 books have probably brought in a little more than $50,000 altogether. And they've been for sales, the first one since the beginning of 2018. So do the math on that. It's not that great. Over 4 years to make about 50, we'll just say it's like 53,000. It's somewhere around there. Over the course of almost it's about 4 years now that my first book was released, about 4 years ago today. And so, I mean, you do the math on that. It's a lot of hard work to write these books. That's what, making, you know, about $12,000 a year. Well, here's the thing. When Bush died in that time frame where that video got 1 million views, I made almost $10,000 of the total sales that I've made to date in books just in that period of time. And the thing is, my video on Bush was good, and it had the eyes of people, but since then I've been super censored. I haven't had any videos get any big views. When Kobe died, I got to like, what, almost 100,000 views, which isn't that great. But again, I haven't gotten any viewership since then. The point is, if I wasn't being censored and suppressed and kept down at the bottom of algorithms, people would find my work and the books would sell and more resources would come in. Again, you guys, I do want like a $1 million sum of cash in the bank before I start GematriaEffectNews, because then I know if I have a team of 3 or 4 people and they're willing to work for $50,000 a year, then I can employ them for a number of years in case financial revenue gets cut off and we have to figure out another way. A lot of people have gotten their revenue cut off. I've already been dealing with getting my revenue cut off. So again, that's just the smart way to go about it. That's what I've decided. I'm not going to start and hire people. And that was the other thing. I was going to hire somebody the other year. And what happened was that person didn't do the simple things I asked them to do. So I thought, well, maybe they don't really want the position that much. And in the time that I made the announcement that I was going to announce who the first employee was, I had like 10 emails come in from people who were good in the community who really wanted the job. And it seemed like they all wanted it more than the person I offered it to. And then I found out that they needed to stay in New York and they couldn't come out here. And anyway, I just realized, you know what, I'm just going to hold this off until we have enough resources. It'll be better if we hire a team of people at once anyway. And again, for all the people that don't like the way I'm going about things, then fuck off and get out of here. Don't make a video and talk shit about it every day. Have I ever shown that I'm stopping to put out the work and continue the movement forward? No. I work my ass off every day. The money that comes in, it doesn't go to me. I'm not. Do you see me on here every day like, oh, look at my new necklace, you guys. Look at this new hat I got that I spent on. Look at this new Gucci belt. I mean, that's not what's going on over here. The money that comes in is saved for the movement. It's also spent on the Free to Find Truth website. It's spent on building the Gematria app. It's spent on building the website that I now use because the website I had before was bought by Google and getting censored. I mean, it takes resources to do this. And again, the thing is, the vast majority of the resources that are coming in are being saved, and they'll always be for the cause. That's the bottom line, you know? Who else in the truth community? I guarantee you there's people in this community that make way more than I do. And do they put anything back in? They put nothing in. They don't have any plan. They don't talk about anything. All they do is sell shit and take ad revenue, period. Why aren't you guys on there harassing their page 24/7? We know the answer to that question. They're not a problem to you because they're not really exposing anything. I'm pretty sure that almost every agent I have is a federal employee. Federal government. Feds. Any of these other YouTube channels have the feds coming out to their house? Nope. Any of these YouTube channels have cars crashing through their house on Christmas Eve? Nope. Any of them having their house get ransacked? Nope. Any of them getting harassed with letters in the mail? Nope. These are all things I have to deal with, you know? Has it made me stop? No. Everyone who's not on my side, you're essentially on the side of the feds and the cabal, you know? Anyway, I just, you know, if you guys are persuaded by the people that are trying to make me look bad, be persuaded then. Go down their path, join the bad fight, join the enemy side, and don't recognize the person who's worked their ass off for 9 years for you. And don't forget, for the first 5 years of this, never raised a penny, never raised a single penny in the first 5 years and worked every single day. Show me anyone else in the history of the world who worked for 5 years straight without raising a penny for anything, you know? And it's funny, just all the revisionist history. Zach had the car crash through his house to raise money to rip off the people. Never raised any money when the car crashed through my house. Nope, just had to deal with a hole in my house for 5 months and had to pay $10,000 out of my own pocket after fighting with the insurance to get them to pay a fraction of the damage. I literally had a $30,000 bill for the hole in my house, and my insurance was trying to pay me $2,500 at first because my house was built in 1960. Saying, oh, because of the depreciation, we only have to pay this much. I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense, man. The hole cost $30,000 to fix. I got bids higher than that. The cheapest bid's $30,000. Finally got him to pay $20,000. Never tried to raise a penny from anybody. Just showed him I had a hole in my house for what I was dealing with. You know? Doesn't that seem weird that while I was 33, a car just crashes through my house on Christmas Eve of all days while I'm not home? And that's the thing. Every time they fuck with my house, it was when I wasn't home. So, anyway. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I ask for people to support the work, but all the things I ask for are low. I say pledge $1 a month. You don't got $12 a year for the work, and then if you don't do it, I mean, do I say, oh, I'm only going to put all my work on Patreon? No, I still keep putting everything out here. Give you guys my ebook for free. You know, write up PDFs for you guys for free. So. Give you all sorts of free shit. Say, hey, come to my event on the corner of Seattle. I'll give you guys $50 hoodies for free, books for free. And the drunk guy who's clearly drinking. You guys, drinking too much beer will fill your body with estrogen. If you guys don't know that, beer is estrogen. And but anyway, I mean, the guy who's just crying himself a river over there. I mean, I just gave that guy a free book, and I forget if the hoodie went to him or Nathan. Nathan's a good guy if the hoodie went there, but I might have just given. I know I gave him my last copy of my book and maybe a hoodie too. And he's like, all I ever did is promote you, and now you're crying because I asked you to be careful about who you trust. What a world, man. And what a time to also go against me. It's just such a crucial moment in history. Now you're going against me with all the shit going on? Looks like it might have been another agent there all along. So, anyway, I'm done, you guys. And thanks to everyone who hit the like and the share. And remember, you guys, you can always cut off like parts of it. I appreciate everyone who takes a video and cuts a segment and maybe just uploads a 5-minute clip, the 5 minutes that resonated with them, or the 2 minutes. Again, that's another way to get out the work. It seems that the only people that download my videos and take clips are the people that try to hate on me. It's like, and that's something about this world that I just got to close out with. There's way more negative, hateful energy in this world than there is like cooperative, helpful, caring energy. Way more people are just prone to be haters and want to shit on somebody than actually help out. I'm always amazed at how very few people have ever downloaded a part of my video and just like even clipped a small segment and re-upload it. I mean, there's been 1,000 people who took a clip of my video to make me look bad, but there's been maybe like 5 people who've ever clipped a short part of the video and uploaded it on their own channel. So, again, that's why humanity is where it is, because they got us all just like hating and competing rather than cooperating. So, exactly. And it's like, dude, why do you even have subscribers? You have subscribers because I recommend your channel every week. So, anyway, man, honestly, I mean, I don't know if that person, I don't really want to talk about that person anymore, but something's not right up here, I'll tell you that much. So, all right, guys, I gotta feed Sweet Lady. She's gonna be mad. So, have a great rest of your day, Truth Seeker, and until next time.